Okay. Let's see. Okay, we've got YouTube running. My goodness. So much going on. Hopefully, I got things set up the way I want. Hello, hello! Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing? Sorry for all the clicking, I've got a lot going on. Thank you. All right. Hey, Agnostic over on the tubes. Hey, Varric on TikTok. What is up, everybody? We've got a little bit of a new look here. Hopefully everything will cooperate, because we're trying a couple new things tonight. So, we are trying a bit of a new look tonight. We are also trying a new call-in method tonight. So I am hoping that all goes well. But it is lovely to see y'all, and I'm ready to do some debates. So tonight's topic, sorry, you can hear my Discord going off, because we're getting notifications that I'm streaming. Sorry about that. But I hope you guys are having a good Saturday night. We are hanging out here. We are about ready to do some debates. So I will still be accepting requests through TikTok, but I prefer if people are able to call in through the link. I don't know why that invisible border keeps appearing on the crown. Oh. Hey, accidentally atheist. Good to see you. I know I'm looking a little bit greasy and scraggly tonight, but it's a greasy and scraggly kind of day. Have I talked with Darth? I got yelled at for 2 minutes by Darth, who then just, like, left. Does that count for anything? Does that... Alright, we have got a guest over on TikTok. Let's see who we've got. Hey there, welcome in. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns? Just your name or what you want to be called? No, you didn't tell me your name or what you want to be called. Chris? Alright, Chris. So, Chris, what's your religion or lack thereof? You embrace all religions, so you don't have a particular religion. So you don't have any particular religion? Gotcha. So why is God an a-hole? You don't think he is? So when I'm talking about God, I'm really referring to the Christian God, right? Would you agree that the... Well, that is why I am clarifying right now. Well, I dislike the Abrahamic God, I suppose I'd say. Um, well, why'd you say Jewish people? Oh, hold on, sorry. Someone's saying they can't hear. Someone's saying they can't hear the guest on YouTube. Okay, gotcha. Give me just a second to work that out. I don't know why they're not able to hear you. Uh, say something again for me. I think it is sourcing it from the wrong place. All right, now say something. Why is it still not activating? Is this gonna me? I had this problem the other night as well. Ah, now say something.
Hello.
Okay, they should be able to hear you now.
All right.
I'm hoping at least.
Hopefully.
I'll give it a couple
If not,
seconds.
no biggie. I'm a very patient person, so you're all good.
Fixed. Yes. All right, we got it. Woo. All right, we are good to go.
Awesome.
So, yeah, there was a difference there because you said Jewish people, and I'm not
I
criticizing.
meant to say Judaism. I'm sorry. I just
Yeah,
woke up from a nap here, and I'm again just recovering from a cold here. So
gotcha. Because yeah, it's the religion I have a problem with, not necessarily the people. Now there are shitty people in every religion, but I'm not saying that everyone who believes in a particular deity is an asshole. I think the deity is the asshole.
sure, we could say that. I mean, so what is your faith or belief, or what do you think?
I'm an agnostic atheist personally.
Okay. Well, my first point would definitely be to ask you, why does anything exist at all then?
I don't think there has to be a why. I think things just exist. I don't presuppose that there's any sort of like intention or end goal of the universe.
Right. But so the universe exists, correct, right? Matter exists,
Yes.
all the atoms making up everything in your body and then everything around us, correct?
Yes.
Laws exist that we can't break really, physical, there's tons of physics that are not really able we can't break. We can't send people going through, let's say, going at the speed of light because their bodies would decompose or decomposite or whatever, because of the speed, you know.
Okay. I'm not really seeing how any of this would like
So
relate to.
atheism describes how things behave once they exist, but it struggles with why any kind of existence is here instead of just being an absolute nothingness.
Atheism isn't like a belief system or worldview. It doesn't try to explain anything. It just means that you lack a belief in any god.
So do you believe in the Big Bang or
I do think that the Big Bang happened, but
okay,
that's not like the atheist worldview.
right. So everything that begins to exist after the Big Bang, right, has a cause for it, correct?
I don't really want to go down the Kalam because I think the universe is eternal.
Okay, I do too. And the universe is full of rebirth and being reborn because life is just a circle, like the seasons or many things in the universe.
Okay.
Like the
I mean,
cycles of the season, the cycle of the sun setting and rising every day along with the moon, correct?
I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here. You're just saying
So,
things happen, therefore there must be a god.
right. So what caused the universe?
Yeah,
What caused this to happen then?
didn't you
If there's
just
no
say
such
you
thing
agree
as a
that the
god.
universe is eternal?
Right, but what caused it to start or stop or however if it
If
is
it's
eternal?
if it's eternal, there was no start.
There has to be,
Well,
right?
then you
It would
don't
make
believe the
sense to
universe
be.
is eternal.
But you just said you believe in the Big Bang, which would mean there's a start.
No, the Big Bang is not the start of the universe.
What was the
It's
Big Bang then, in your opinion?
yeah, so it was a change in our universe for sure. It was the start of us being able to measure time, but
Mm-hmm.
because prior to that, all of our ways of measuring time break down. But a majority of physicists disagree that the Big Bang means that there was a definitive start to the universe.
Right. I agree with that, but
Yeah,
there's
so
a
it's
lot of
not the
physicists
start
and,
of the universe. Yeah, it's like 68% describe the Big Bang as having no bearing over whether or not there was an actual start to the universe, and like 10 to 15% were like no opinion. So it's definitely a small group that would believe that there was a start, like, and that the Big Bang was the start.
Okay. So for instance, if any constraints in the universe were a little like just a fraction off, we would not be existing today.
You're using a lot of Christian apologetics for someone who
This
accepts all religions.
this has nothing to do with Christianity at all. I'm just
Well,
talking about science and
right.
physics right now.
Yeah, you're just using very common arguments used by a Christian, like Christian apologists.
I'm
Yeah,
not
so I would
Christian
say,
and I don't defend Christians and I don't believe Jesus was God.
okay, cool. I believe that using the fine tuning argument is it kind of brings up the pothole in the puddle incident, right? It's a puddle accumulating in a pothole and saying, "Wow, how incredible is it that this pothole was perfectly shaped for me to be inside of it?"
Right. I mean, just the fact that we have matter, just physical manifestation of matter in our brain,
Yeah,
and we
that
are
that was a
able to
that was a
talk.
fallacy. I was representing a fallacy to you. The puddle
I
thinking
understand.
that the pothole formed to fit it when it was the other way around. Life formed because of the way that the universe is, not the other way around.
Okay. So
So if
a
things had
big
been
one would
different,
definitely be with all religions. What about objective morality?
no religion has objective morality.
But we as humans do.
No, we don't. Can you show me where we
So,
do?
do you think that torture, child abuse, genocide, schmurder, are just merely social aspects that are disliked just because?
Well, I would subjectively say they're wrong. I don't believe in objective morality. You would have to show me objective morality.
Okay, so I asked, are things, like all of those, why are those disliked then?
Yeah, if I don't believe in objective morality, then I would say they're not objectively wrong. You would have to show me why they
So,
are objectively wrong.
okay, perfect. So here we go. So if morality is only evolutionary's preference of how we were made, right? Or how we were raised by our parents, right? Then you would be saying slavery was not objectively wrong. Genocide would be just a behavior or a trait of humanity. And morality is only an opinion that is dressed by the human
Chris,
psyches and
Chris, you would have to give
emotions.
me a reason to believe objective morality exists.
I'm giving it right now.
No, you're not. You're just saying, well, I don't like the idea of subjective morality. Until you prove there is objective morality is all we got. So you can find it dissatisfying, but you have to give me evidence that I should believe there is objective morality. Now, there may be things that are almost universally agreed upon as being right or wrong, but that's still not objective morality.
Okay, then how come most people instinctively believe and are born and they know just deep down that these things are wrong then? And objectively they are evil.
They're not objectively evil,
How not?
because I don't believe that evil and good objectively exist. I believe
Okay,
evil and
so
good
so
are
you're
are
saying it.
are labels we apply to things that we think people ought or ought not do.
Okay, so you wouldn't agree then if moral truths and humans, some of fallacies and stuff are real and binding beyond all of our humans' opinions of us,
Wait, if
everyone on the
fallacies
planet.
are real?
Where do they come from? Where do they come from then? Where
Wait,
do these
what you just said was incomprehensible. Fallacies
where do
are
these
real?
moralities and fallacies that you're proving that objective morality is not real?
We
Where does
don't
these
have
come from?
evidence of morality existing outside of life.
But you don't have evidence either in the other way either.
That
That there's
subjective
nothing
morality
outside of this
exists?
life. No, that there's not anything after this life or before it or
No,
however.
no, Chris, you misunderstand what I'm saying. You're talking about there being morality outside of people or outside of just animals in general. We don't have any examples of that.
Dolphins show morality.
Okay,
Also
so that
types
would
of
not be outside of people and animals, would it?
okay, so you don't believe that there's any objective morality and you don't believe that people generally tend to lean towards being good over evil then.
Well, people generally leaning towards certain things has nothing to do with objective morality. Objective
Can you
morality, by
define objective morality for me really quick?
I was actually just about to in the sentence that you interrupted. So, objective
I'm sorry.
morality, objective morality would be morality that exists independent of any mind or stance.
Okay.
We have no evidence for objective morality.
And what is your evidence there's no objective morality? Like give me a list of things why you don't think so.
I've never been shown any evidence of it. You can't really prove the non-existence of evidence. You kind of have to prove the affirmative if you believe there is objective morality.
Okay. Well, then you don't believe there's any such thing as we've come to that conclusion. So,
Right. So I've asked you to give me evidence that
the
there
next
is objective morality.
right. Well, then my next question would be obviously why is so I guess definitely great talking point would be trying to phrase this properly. What would be the best way to phrase this? I'm trying to think. Would you say that most atheists, philosophers in particular, admit that our consciousness is completely unresolved and they have no clue at all why we have a consciousness?
No.
You say no?
I disagree with that.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, and I disagree. You said, would I say that? And
So,
I said, no, I would
so
not say that.
well, you obviously know a lot about science. So, atoms obviously they would never produce awareness, a meaning, any kind of love or introspective experience, any imagination, or any kind of selfhood.
They did, though. We have no evidence to
How?
believe that consciousness exists outside of a mind or that consciousness is
Whoa,
not an
whoa,
emergent
whoa, whoa,
property
whoa, whoa, whoa,
from
whoa.
our living matter.
Did you understand my question? Atoms
Yes, I did.
obviously, this all scientists agree with this.
That wasn't really a question. You said something false, and you acted as if it's
That's
agreed upon by all scientists.
so you think that atoms produce awareness, meaning, a love?
Everything is comprised of atoms or molecules. Our brains are
Okay.
comprised of atoms and or molecules. Our brains produce consciousness, therefore atoms produce consciousness. There's a fun syllogism for you.
Okay, so how does unconscious matter suddenly become conscious experience? Explain that.
Yeah, so it's living material that over time, through many changes, through mutation, through gene duplication, through
Man,
natural
your chat
selection.
really likes. I really don't like this about TikTok, and I haven't done anything to degrade you or anything, but just one comment. He has 27 level in your chat. Guess is stupid as shit.
They're right. So,
That's
um,
not. I wouldn't call
so
you
life
stupid
over
though.
time.
I
Well, probably because I'm not.
yeah, but that's so you have an incredibly big ego then.
Oh
because
yeah,
you don't
huge,
value anyone
massive.
else's opinion
At
and you think that
least at
only you are
least
right.
5.5 inches. No, just I'm explaining myself pretty well, and you are trying to explain things to me that I already know very well, as if I don't know them, which is a little bit
I'm just
condescending.
talking about talking points that to understand why you're atheist or agnostic. That's all. I haven't
Yeah, no, just
insulted
trying
you.
to
I haven't. I
not
didn't.
directly, but here, Chris, here's the
Not at
thing.
all, ma'am. I didn't
Here's
insult you at all.
here's the thing. When men come in and they perceive me as a woman, I'm non-binary to clarify. When men come in and they
I'm
perceive me as a
sorry. I should have
woman,
asked. I'm sorry. So
it's
should
fine.
I
I don't.
refer? What should I
It's
refer
fucking
to you
fine.
as?
I use they them pronouns. You can just call me robot goat. Um,
Okay.
but there's a
Well,
thing that
I'm
happens a
sorry if
lot
I
of
offended. I
times.
wasn't trying to.
There's a thing that happens a lot of times, and it's usually a subconscious thing, but sometimes it's a conscious thing. I don't think that's the case for you. Um, but men feel the need to explain things to me that I already clearly know. They feel the need to talk down to me or interrupt me in my expertise because my background is in biology, biological science. So just explaining to me that our brains are made of atoms is just a little bit patronizing.
Well, I wasn't trying to. I'm sorry if you thought I was.
Yeah, it's just you can you can overestimate my intelligence rather than underestimate, and I would appreciate that. you know.
I didn't underestimate it at all. I'm just trying to come to a conclusion of why you believe what you believe. That's all I'm asking.
Right, and I think I'm explaining it pretty well. So, I would say that consciousness is an emergent property from our brains. We can see that because when we alter our brains, we can alter aspects of our consciousness. Um, that to me indicates that our consciousness does, in fact, come from our brains, that our minds are emergent of our brains.
Okay. So why would you say God is an a-hole? Because he's if well, that's saying assuming, and this is a complete, this is a hypothetical. If God is real, then what proof do you have that he's an asshole?
Well, again, this I primarily talk about Christianity, and that's just something people know if they've been in my streams multiple times. Because I was raised Christian, grew up Christian for a long time, was like a fervent believer. But rereading the Bible, he does a lot of fucked up shit in there.
Right, but that's assuming that the Bible is 100% true of how they describe God. I mean, in Genesis 1 and 2 in the
Yeah,
Bible, they literally say that man and woman was created after the animals to tend the land. And then in Genesis 2, another man and woman is created after man and woman was already created. And, so.
yeah, it is contradictory. That doesn't mean that God's not an a hole in it.
But
Like
if
I
God
don't
is
believe the
real,
Bible is real,
so are
but
you not happy to be alive and be here?
that has nothing to do with me calling God an a hole.
I'm just curious because even if I thought God was an asshole, I still would not be, what's the word? I wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't think that he's an asshole just because I exist and I'm here
Yeah, it's
now.
and it's not just because he exists. Again, it's the things that he does in the Bible that's the asshole shit, right?
But
So
we
it's
can all
like the
come to terms that
flood.
those are probably not true, right?
Well,
And
yeah,
most of the stuff in the
it's called an internal critique here,
one of your
Chris.
viewers just said is guess sober. I haven't done drugs or alcohol for since I got my first DUI when I was in my early 20s. So that's but whatever.
First, interesting. All right. Um, yeah, ignore that if that's a problem for you. You don't have to reach out.
I'm
Um,
gonna slide it, yeah, because it's. I mean, again, it's your viewers, not mine. But I wouldn't let my viewers patronize guests on, especially when they're being calm, talking nicely, and not putting the host down or anyone on the panel in any way, shape, or form.
yeah, well, you're welcome to start your own stream and invite me sometime.
I don't stream, and I'm not very interested
Oh,
in that.
really?
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting. So, yeah, so I would say it's the things that God does in the Bible that makes him an asshole, right? So like the
How
flood.
can you prove that what he does in the Bible is true, though?
I don't think it is. It's again, it's an internal critique. So I'm critiquing the Bible, which presents this God in a certain way,
But
as if
to be
it
fair, you
is
have to
true.
critique all God, not all religion. You can't just be only one. That's not
Well,
fair.
I only followed Christianity for 17 years. I didn't follow Zoroastrianism for 17 years. So I center my streams around the topics I know best.
Right. I understand that. That makes sense. But again, objectively, I don't think that you can assume that God is an asshole just because one religion shows in their text that, God does bad things,
I,
That's
I
not.
think if the because of the problem of suffering, if there is an all-powerful God, that God is an asshole.
Maybe this suffering isn't suffering, though. And maybe this is something we've done many times throughout history. And this is something that keeps repeating itself.
That doesn't make any sense. It would still be suffering even if it's happened before.
It's not suffering if you get to keep repeating the chants. And it isn't suffering if there's really no end to the line, and there's
So
no
if you
really
break your
death.
arm for the 20th time, it's not suffering anymore?
It's suffering if you make it suffering. But like I like to tell people, even on the worst of
Oh.
worst days, I'm still a blessing. I woke up today and I'm able to talk to other human beings, which I very much so enjoy doing. And seeing people smile. And my objective morality brings people happiness and it
Your
causes people.
objective morality. That's an
Right, because
oxymoron.
I have my own objective morality on
That
life.
that is contradictory.
How so?
Because objective means mind or stance independent. So if it is objective morality but it is specific to your opinions, then it would be subjective. So you can't
Wouldn't
have a
be specific to
subjective
my
objective
opinions.
morality.
It would be the general opinion of most human beings.
That's still not independent of a mind.
Well, then I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong word. What would be the better word? Just my
Um
individual morality?
yeah. It would be subjective. You could say intersubjective if you're talking about something that's generally agreed upon by a lot of people. Um, but it'd still be subjective.
Okay, well, then I used the wrong terminology and wrong word. But for my own subjective morality on life, I know that it is wrong to schmurder. It is wrong to abuse children. It is wrong to grape. All these things are wrong. I was born knowing these things too. Even as a little kid, before I was taught, I knew stealing, stuff like this is wrong.
But there's some people who don't believe those things because they
Right,
do
but
those actions.
the majority of the human population would agree that it is wrong.
People agreeing on it still doesn't make it objective.
It makes that the general consensus of all humans is it is
But that's a
correct and the right
that's a
thing, though.
different thing. That's a different thing, right? Because like
Right,
I can agree that most people would say, yeah, like, you know, unaliving somebody at random, very bad. But I don't think
right.
that's objectively wrong. Not to say that it's not wrong, but I think it's only wrong in the minds of people because morals govern the way that people interact with each other.
Right, majority, yes, absolutely. Majority of people is a very thin-veiled kind of almost like a curtain that people put over themselves when they go out in front of other people, but then they're really themselves around their wife, their or their loved one or husband or however, and their children, They put on a different face sometimes.
I
Especially
think
it
we had a
doesn't help that
disconnect somewhere
social
there.
media,
That didn't really
it
make
doesn't help
sense in
that
response to what I said.
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't help that social media has made people so cynically evil towards one another. That's one thing that I've never got really behind is the relentless trolling that from mostly it seems like children, but nowadays that I've been getting older, it seems like even adults have dropped to this low of fighting with people online, and it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, in that case, I can't imagine you want to continue debating because you don't want to fight with someone online. So have a good evening, Chris. That was easy. Hello and welcome in, people. My goodness, we've got some more people in here. Just so my folks over on YouTube know, the link tree, you can use that if you want to call in. I even have a wonderful call screener tonight, Gracie F. Baby, who is helping me out and doing some call screening for me just so we can make sure that everybody is staying safe, cool, and comfortable. So, I am obviously still taking requests through TikTok, but now you can do it through that link as well. It's linktr.ee/robotgoat, but there's like a period before the e's. It's strange. I'll get like a bit.ly for it once my monthly thing resets. I don't fucking know. All right, next up. Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
I am I am ma'am. You can call me ma'am. I am 40 years old. I was born in 1985. And, whatever pronouns work for you. I'm not particular.
So, if chat were going to refer to you, would it be best for them to say she?
Whatever they want to. I'm not worried about it.
All right.
I'm sure they can hear it in my voice.
You can't really hear pronouns in people's voices unless they're voicing their pronouns.
Okay. Sure.
Then you can.
Whatever
I'll
you
voice
want.
mine. I use they them pronouns, so that's me.
So,
Voicing mine.
why do you think that God is an a-hole?
I read the Bible.
Okay. What part of the Bible?
Oh, I've read all of it. But do you want like a
All of
specific
it.
a-hole
So
part?
the Old Testament or the New Testament? What part?
So all of it would be both.
Okay. So what part of the New Testament led you to believe that God was an a-hole?
Yeah, so New Testament is actually where we see the emergence of the idea of hell, particularly there being eternal conscious torment. So I would say that's one particular part that makes God an a-hole. There's also the part where Jesus refers to a Canaanite woman with a racial slur. I would say that makes God an a-hole.
Okay, so can you quote that part where Jesus refers to the Canaanite woman as like whatever slur?
When you say quote, do you mean just like off the top of my head, or do you want me to read it to you? Because I can read it to you.
Yeah. Go ahead, bring it up. Or can you tell me the exact psalm and all that stuff? Because I'd love to look it up with you.
Psalm. So we are going to be going over to Matthew 15. I read from the NRSVUE, just so you know.
I read from the King James version, so
Ooh,
I don't know.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Me
not a
too.
good one. That's not
Okay.
a good one. So we'll
Your
start.
opinion.
Scholarly opinion. We'll start in verse 21.
So Matthew,
Matthew 15.
okay.
So, again, it's going to be a different version. But Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then a Canaanite woman from that region came out shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. So first he ignores her, which is strange. All his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." He answered, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith, let it be done as you wish." And her daughter was healed from that moment. So referring to Canaanites as dogs was a racial slur for that time period.
But her daughter was healed from that moment, right?
Yeah, did he have to call her a racial slur and ignore her to do it?
Well, that's like a more modern issue. I mean, like, if her daughter was healed, then I guess then her prayers were answered, were they not?
So how would you feel if your doctor called you a slur before treating you? Would you be like, "Oh, thank you,
well,
doctor"?
I mean, slurs are subjective.
Okay, so you went from like, "Oh, God would never do that," to like, slurs actually aren't that bad.
Well, I mean, you're saying that like Jesus was like basically just calling people slurs and yada yada yada,
No,
and then
I said
he
he called
actually
this woman
healed
a
this
slur.
woman's daughter.
He did
Okay,
call her a
and then
slur,
he
though.
healed, and then he healed her daughter,
But it was
and
supposed
she
to
was
be
happy about it,
perfect.
was it not?
If
And
he's supposed to be
slurs are
perfect
subjective.
and all loving, why first of all ignore her? Because it says that he ignored her. And then why refer to her in such a derogatory manner before healing her daughter?
Because he did actually heal her once she actually worked for what
I
she needed to work
understand,
for
but
to achieve acknowledgement from our Lord and Savior. He actually, healed her.
was Jesus
And
all knowing?
there you go. Well, Jesus Christ is technically the Son of God, so he is God in the human flesh.
Can you answer
and
my
he
question,
needed
please?
to.
Is he all
What?
knowing?
Well, I think that slurs are definitely
I'm not
different
asking about
in
slurs.
today's world.
Is he all knowing?
I am not a bibliologist, ma'am.
Do you think
I don't know.
Jesus has all knowledge?
I don't know about Jesus Christ particularly. I am just stating the fact that he did heal her. So whether or not he looked down on her or looked down on her mother, he did actually heal the one that the mother was asking to be healed.
Yeah, so
he did
my
solve the
problem
problem.
is not that he healed it. My problem is the approach he took by first
Oh,
ignoring
okay.
her and then degrading her. I'm not arguing that he didn't
So
heal the daughter.
it's tone policing then.
Tone policing?
You just don't like the way he
it's-
did it.
It's if God is supposed to
He
be all
healed
loving
her.
and Jesus is supposed to have lived a sinless life, then why the unnecessary cruelty towards women simply because of her?
Do you think that back in the early 2000s that it was, or not, sorry, the not turn of the century, back in BC 23, let's say, that things were as easy, that life was as easy as it is today? Do you think that people just lived like we do with technology at our fingertips?
No, they were only at the iPhone 5.
Owie, that hurt my feels. No, people are tribal. So, unfortunately, especially at that time, even though your mind can't grasp that because, like words hurt your feelings and everything, and, you think of everything as a slur, back then, things were a little bit different.
Time.
People
I'm not
are
saying
tribal.
I'm offended.
No, you don't know that. You don't know that it was a slur at the time.
Know that.
You're just reading the Bible as the way that you see fit.
It's been historically verified it was a slur at the time,
Oh,
ma'am.
so, okay. All right. Whatever you say, ma'am.
Well, I'm not a ma'am. You are.
Okay, then how do you identify?
I'm non-binary. I use they, them.
You, well, to me, I don't really necessarily see that in you.
Who cares?
I know. I don't really care about the comments. To be honest.
No, I'm talking about the comments from the person behind you who thinks that I can't hear him, apparently.
Oh, my husband?
Yeah,
my husband's great. I love him.
You two
He's
really
awesome.
deserve each other.
I know we do.
Yeah.
We do great together, actually.
I appreciate that you keep each other away from everybody else.
Well, if that was true, then I wouldn't be here talking to you currently.
Oh, interesting. Next up. If they load in. Hi there, can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Jim, 57, he, him.
All right, Jim, what is your religion or lack thereof?
I'm an atheist.
All right. Hey, can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Fob 32. King.
Sorry?
Pronoun. King.
That's not a pronoun, my friend. That's a noun, I'm afraid.
Yeah. A noun. Pronoun. King.
Yeah, so just like verbs and adverbs are different, nouns and pronouns are different.
Like you want to refer as they, them, I will respect that.
Yeah, so they and them are pronouns.
So king, you can call me king.
King is not a pronoun.
Thank you very much. Call me king.
King is not
they,
a
them?
pronoun. Yeah, if
They
you
them.
wanted to be called
You
they
can
them, I'd
call
call
me
you they
king.
them, Fob, because they and them are
No,
pronouns,
I'm
but
calling
king
you
is
they them.
not. King is
I'm
not a
calling you they
pronoun.
them.
You're about to not call me anything if you don't get your shit together.
Oh, are you hurt?
No, I just don't deal with bullshit like this.
You're just like your BS. How
My
many are you?
BS.
Is
How
there many
many
of
am
you, or is
I?
just only one of you? If you
Uh,
say they them, that is plural.
yeah. So I'm your.
So how
How
many of you
many?
are you? Just one person or
How
just
many am I?
two?
Your mom's body count. Because
Oh,
every
yeah,
single
she's
fucking
hurt.
one of them was me, Fob.
Yeah, she's hurt.
Have a good evening. Oh wait, you are a friendly, I believe. Yep, that's what I thought.
Yo, can you hear me?
I can. What is your name, age, and pronouns?
Yeah, cool. So you could just call me IO8. I'm 19 and my pronouns are he, him. So what do you mean by whenever you say God is an a-hole?
Whoa,
And
whoa, whoa.
Okay.
Slow your roll there, champ. What's your religion
hmm
or lack thereof?
Catholic or Christian, but yeah, just Catholic.
Cool. So, yeah, why is God an asshole?
That's a good question. That's your burden.
My burden? No, my burden is being too sexy. I'm
So,
burdened. I'm burdened by it every single fucking day. Aisle 8. You don't even know. It's really hard.
so, so,
Just like my audience right now. Am I right?
so, you're, so like, what do you mean by an a-hole? Like, what does that entail is what I'm asking you. Because you're just saying that that could just be like a rhetorical insult. I don't even know what that means in the context. So what are you
Yeah,
saying?
I would think this would be something you'd be very familiar with. So when I'm saying someone's like an a-hole, I mean that they just do things that are like mean or cruel or that they just cause unnecessary suffering for other people at their whim.
Okay.
Um,
And
so
so, right. And so, are you using your standards of morality to critique this or like say, make this claim or like, are you
yep.
using the Bible's outline? Okay. So, you're using your standard
Well,
of morality.
also the Bible's ironically because God makes rules that He Himself doesn't follow.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that. But again, I don't think it's okay for you to use your subjective morality for you to make an internal critique on something else. That's like saying, okay, I'm going to use a literate or sorry, a methodology of interpretation for history the same way that I'm going to use it in science. It applies in two different contexts. So you can't use your system of morality inside of the Bible's internal critique.
Yeah, so
But
those are
yeah,
two
let's
separate things. So there is
right.
my opinion where I can demonstrate why I think that God's actions are reprehensible, and then there is the internal critique where God breaks rules that He Himself makes. Where there are times where like God does things that by His own definition are unjust. And contradicts
Cool.
himself. So
Cool.
those are two separate things. I'm not trying to combine those into one. But you asked me if it was by
Right.
my standard. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So now that we're using the Bible's methodology of morality here,
Oh, we're
um
just throwing out my perspective. You don't want to talk about
you're
that one?
well, the only reason is because your perspective under atheism is going to be arbitrary and subjective. So it's going to be a whole
Atheism
different thing.
atheism isn't really a worldview, but also
Of course, yeah,
Christianity would
it's
have subjective morality as well.
well, no, that's the youth info dilemma, and no, that's not going to be the case.
No, it just can you define objective for me so I can make sure we're using the same one?
Objective, stance independent.
Or mind independent?
Sure.
Yeah, that's not how Christianity gets its morality.
Okay, well, that's just not going to be the case because, again, whenever we talk about morality, morality is going to be intrinsic to God's essence. So whenever we say that good is going to flow from God's essence, God commands it because it comes from it. Sorry, comes from His essence. So in turn, God is expressing goodness via His essence. If that makes sense to you, if
So
it doesn't,
you think that God does things because they're good, not the other way around?
okay. So you just didn't understand. No, I said that God expresses good via His essence.
Yeah,
It's
and
in His
that
nature.
makes no sense. How do you express good via your essence? Because goodness is expressed in actions. An essence
Okay,
would
yeah.
not be
So
actions.
right. Okay. So if let's say that you are the embodiment of like good, right? All your actions that you're gonna do is gonna be good. Is that correct?
If I am the embodiment of good,
Yes, your
all the
essence, the whatness of yourself.
Let me process what you're fucking saying, dude. You're saying a bunch of bullshit. I'm trying to make sense of it, okay? If someone is the essence of good, I disagree that like goodness objectively exists for one. You would have to represent to me how goodness objectively exists.
Okay, so I already told you, if it's in his essence, that means that God can be like, God doesn't need a mind for him to express his good. It just be, the good would be there. It just wouldn't be expressed via his mind. So it wouldn't be communicated in like
Okay,
a
you're
form
saying
of,
that could be the case if it is that way, but I don't believe it's that way. So show me evidence why I should
what do you
believe it is that way.
believe that good is objective in his essence?
Yes.
So you want like a syllogistic argument or something like that?
I'd like some sort of evidence.
That God, okay, well, I mean, that's already presupposed. And again, you're making an internal
Yeah,
critique.
you're
Like,
presupposing that God is the embodiment of good, that good objectively flows from his essence, which just doesn't make any fucking sense.
well, no, it does. Listen, this is like saying that you want me to
What is his
prove
essence?
essence is the whatness of being, or essentially just what is a being, right?
So
Here,
from him, not his essence.
yeah, well, I mean, you could say him, his essence is just gonna define his being, or it's gonna be like a main attribute of his being, or not a main attribute, just a collection of attributes of his being. And we say that collection of attributes is good. But again, so we're gonna say in this context that God is good. I'm not having to prove to you here why God is good, because that's presupposed in my worldview. We Christians take it to be that God is good. And if you're asking me to prove that, I can provide you an argument, but that's a whole different bucket of worms, so I'm not getting into that.
Well, you wouldn't let me talk from my perspective about why God is an a-hole, and I know why.
That yeah.
Because it's the stuff that God does in the Bible is completely indefensible, and so you're trying to pivot to instead put a burden on me to try to come up with a system of morality rather than Christianity, when that's not really necessary. What I'm doing is critiquing Christianity.
Well, no, if you're critiquing Christianity, that means you have to use the morals inside of Christianity to critique them. You
No.
can't use external morals to critique Christianity unless it's going to be arbitrary and fallible.
Okay, are
It's
you
gonna
a
be whole different
Democrat?
thing. Am I a Democrat? I consider myself politically neutral. I don't participate
Okay,
in that stuff.
well, then you can't critique any political party.
Yes, you can. You can use their own logic to find. If someone says, listen, if someone
No,
says,
but you're not a part of it.
no. Well, what? Wait, no, I'm not. You're just not listening. No. If someone says that, here, let me think of a good analogy. If someone says, okay, I think Trump is a good person, which is, if someone says that and you ask them why, they say, oh, because his hair is orange, right? Or sorry, his hair is blue. You can tell them, okay, his hair is not blue. So that defeats their entire worldview, because that's the basis of reasoning that they hold.
Okay.
So whenever you're,
I got an easy one for you then. God is not real.
God is not real. You want an argument for that? And what's the basis of your motivation? Wait. No. I don't know why I'm proving
glossary. To you. Oh, it's great.
I don't know why I'm proving to you that God exists. Again, we're taking the presupposition that God does exist under this worldview, because you're making it.
You want us to,
listen.
because it makes it easy for you if you try to run presup, but presup makes no fucking sense.
Dude, you're making it internal. So you're saying, why is God an a-hole? That presupposes that God exists and God is an a-hole. In this thing, because you're making a hypothetical under this worldview that
my friend, if I said Voldemort is an asshole, does that mean I think Voldemort exists?
Is that yeah, within the context of the Harry Potter verse, sure.
But does that mean that I think he actually exists?
No, it's not about thinking he actually exists. In the hypothetical you're running, in the verse that you're running, in the context of the situation, he does exist. So in the domain of hypotheticals, yes, God's
in reality. I'm not presupposing he actually exists. You were suggesting I'm presupposing he actually exists, which is not the case.
So if God doesn't exist to you, why are you talking about a fictional character? Why are you saying, this guy's a bad guy?
Because the people who do believe in that God do shitty things.
Okay, so you want me to give you an argument for God existing?
I'd rather we talk about some of scripture and you try to tell me, some justification as to why it doesn't make God an asshole to do horrible things.
But you're not going to use your own arbitrary morals unless you have a non-arbitrary methodology of interpretation. On top of that, you can have a different moral structure that's objective.
I can use something that Jesus said, right? Didn't Jesus say to love your neighbor as yourself?
Define love as prescribed in the Bible.
I asked, doesn't Jesus say love your neighbor as yourself?
I'd assume so, yes.
You'd assume so? You're not sure?
Yeah, well, no. It just depends on how you define love. Because it really just, because you haven't given me any...
I'm not asking you how you define love. I'm asking you if in the Bible, Jesus says that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves.
Yeah.
Cool. There are times where God does not show love the way that he would love himself.
Define love.
Define love?
Define love as prescribed in the Bible. Unless you can't do that and you're just like throwing things out of your.
Well, it's very difficult to have these conversations with glossary bros who make you define every single term, even though they're like universally agreed upon concepts.
Okay,
Like,
well,
if
so
you're
wait,
asking
so
me, like,
yeah,
what does
it's
love
universally
mean?
agreed upon. Define it. On top of that, you say glossary, bro. How many words have I made you define before in the entirety of the conversation, if you were even tracking?
How many words have you made me define? That's not what I mean when I say glossary, bro.
Well, you were saying I'm making you define a whole bunch of stuff. I made you define one word. This is the first word I made you define. Love. That's it.
Yeah.
So what do you think love is?
Glossary, bro, is my fill-in instead of calling people Phil bros because I think that's too generous of a term.
I am a low tier, bro. But I'm sorry.
Talk
yeah,
to me.
I mean, sure.
Hello,
I can be.
hi. Yeah, so I say glossary, bro, when people just use a bunch of words that they don't need to try to make their argument sound better than it actually is, without actually lending like any credence to the point they're trying to get across. So
okay.
like,
so
you've been doing that pretty consistently, because you're trying to like obfuscate and use semantics, so you don't actually have to talk about the problem at hand, because you're trying to redefine what love is. When Jesus says love your neighbor as yourself, you're like, well, define love.
Well, no, look, you're literally saying.
Would you say that it is loving to grape someone?
What?
Is it loving to grape someone?
I'd say in reference to who, and depending on the context.
Ever. Is it ever loving to grape someone?
Oh, so if you had to grape someone to save the entirety of the universe, is it right or wrong?
It still wouldn't be loving.
Oh my God.
I didn't ask is it right or wrong. I asked, is it loving, asshat?
Is it loving? You haven't defined love. You haven't given any non-arbitrary, like, I feel like you're arguing out of emotion here, if anything. Wait, cancel this.
Is it ever loving to grape someone?
That's like saying, is it ever pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis to do whatever, bro? You're not saying anything.
Well, I'm not sending people down into the mines to get lung diseases. Like, fuck that, dude.
Okay.
You know what I mean when if the word love is really just as mystifying to you as all that bullshit, that fucking makes your behavior make so much sense.
So do you know what love is? Do you know how to define it? Unless we can look it up. You can look it up. It's okay. I give you permission to look it up, bro.
I can give you an operational definition, but I feel like you're gonna reject any operational definition that I give you.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna accept your definition as long as it has some type of scholarly basis or biblically interpretive basis or methodology that's non-arbitrary. Because I'm not gonna go by any definition you posit, or else you can just say, oh, love is burgers, and I'm like, why would you define it that way? But I have to accept that presupposition. I'm not going to do that. Give me a scholarly basis, because that's the methodology we use of interpreting the Bible.
Can you define basis?
Basis, just a level of reasoning and coherence that applies to
scholarly.
Scholarly, educational or based.
Can you define educational?
Educational. Are you going to run into? I mean, like.
Can you define run?
Okay, for sure. You're just gonna be.
Because you could just tell me that run means burgers.
I literally asked you to define one word, and now you're getting mad. Like, dude, I asked you to define love. That's the only thing in the entirety of this.
If I give you an operational definition, and I say that like love is treating someone with kindness and respect, or love is putting someone else's needs above your own, then you will come up with some way to argue that that is not a definition of love.
Well, no, I'm looking for a scholarly basis, and if you have one, it doesn't really matter because
I said an operational definition. Like, do you want an operational definition or do you want a scholarly basis?
Scholarly basis, because that's the methodology.
Okay, then you don't want me to just come up with one. Then we would have to look one up, which is fucking ridiculous, having to define love because your God grapes someone and you can't defend that. So instead, you're gonna have me fucking Google the word
Jesus
love.
Graped someone? Jesus graped someone? Are you? Wait, what? Okay, no.
Oh, do you not believe in the Trinity?
The Trinity? Of course I believe in the Trinity.
Then yeah, he did.
You did? Okay, well, we'll get into that after you define love with the scholarly basis. So go look one up real quick, because I know you've never actually.
Fucking God. I haven't had to Google.
You have like.
I haven't had to Google the word love before, because I'm not an alien from a different fucking planet who has never heard the word love before.
Of course.
Because my parents love me.
But you can't define it, so they blah blah blah.
I gave you an operational definition. I'm sorry if it wasn't a denotation.
again, that's arbitrary, bro. I don't care for that. Now, go ahead and give me
Then
a
why ask
scholarly basis.
me to define it?
Because
imply
I
that I
asked for a
can't
scholarly
look it up
basis.
because you're like, oh, you don't know
Wait,
one.
what?
You're gonna have to look
I
it
never
up.
implied that, bro. Just look it up. Just look it up. It's
You said,
okay.
oh, you're gonna have to look
Scholarly
it up, all condescendingly.
Scholarly basis.
So which is it? So do you want me to not look it up, or do you want me to look it up?
You can look it up. I'm saying just
Okay.
a scholarly basis. I don't know why we're into this semantics. Like, this is a tangent, bro. Come
Why
on.
are we into the semantics? I wonder, Isle. I wonder who got us into the semantics. Who? Chat. Does anyone have a guess? Does anyone have a guess as to why we got into the semantics? If we were to
Bro,
take
is
a
like
guess out of
everyone
the
in your
two
chat-
people in here, which one got us into semantics?
Is everyone in here biased? Like, in your chat?
No, some of them are panist.
Okay, okay, go ahead. Define it. Whatever.
Love, an emotion characterized by strong feelings of affection for another, arising out of kinship, companionship, admiration, or benevolence.
Nope, it's not an emotion, and that's not how it was defined by
That's from
scholars in the
fucking
Bible.
Britannica. Up your asshole.
Wait,
or to
wait,
the
are you
left,
are you
aisle
are you a
8.
genius, bro?
Get off. Fuck you in so many ways. Making me go to a dictionary and look up love and then tell me the dictionary is wrong? So much fuck you. Holy shit. Well, hello. It seems like I might have some new people here, so throw a follow my way if you haven't already. And YouTube, are we past 1,000? Let's see. We were close to 1,000 subs. Hello? Yes, we are! We've passed 1,000 on YouTube! Fuck yeah! Thank you guys! I appreciate the fuck out of that! And thank you to everyone over on the YouTube. Once again, you can call in if you are on YouTube. You can use the link tree. It's in the description. It's also in my bio on TikTok if you prefer to do it that way. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Let's bring up our next guest. Hey there, can I get your
Hey.
name, age, and pronouns?
Yeah, 27, and I'll go by he.
And what should I
him.
call you?
Brando, fine.
Great. And what is your religion or lack thereof?
Yeah, I'm a Orthodox Christian. I just converted here recently.
Oh no, they got you. Okay, well there's still time.
Yeah, they got me. No, I actually the Orthodox they don't go promote. You have to come to them, sort of. So, anyway,
I'm gonna hard disagree with that.
Well,
the amount of ortho
I mean-
bros.
well, I mean, I'm not, and see, that's the thing. We can't, like, it seems now we just put bro in front of things to sort of like dismiss it. It's like tech bro,
no, I put it
Bitcoin
after.
bro, like.
I put bro after.
You know what I mean? It's sort of like just to make it a superlative to like just, it's sort of well poisoning, right? I mean,
I didn't call you
like if I
one.
came over here and I was like,
just
this is
said
an
that there are
atheist
ortho
chick, or-
bros.
Right.
I
Okay.
didn't
Well,
call you one.
well, so I think what the kid was trying to get to, and he couldn't really articulate it correctly.
Sure, we'll
probably
go
shouldn't
past
even.
that you tried to fucking talk about poison the well.
Well, I mean, it's not a pass for sure. I was wrong. You didn't say that. My bad.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, I think what he was trying to say, and I might maybe incorrect, and he probably shouldn't even be arguing that position if he's not capable. But, so here's the thing: is like we dismiss, or I'm sure you dismiss God due to a lack of empirical evidence, right?
That's one aspect. There's also just the fact that I think an all-powerful, all-good God in a world with suffering is just a logical contradiction.
Right. Well, speaking of logic and empiricism, it's like that's the thing is we don't believe in things we can't empirically measure and we can't hold and see, and that's in the material world, right?
When you say empirically measure, does that include just like repeated observation?
Again, so like it's something that's material, something that's real. So like for instance, I can't say, oh well, like a ghost moved this table over last night,
Well,
we would have to find a reason, like materially, why the table slid over.
yeah, but
for
like
instance.
I would describe like an attribute of like something being just or having justice when I wouldn't say that justice necessarily like empirically exists. I think.
Well, I mean, it couldn't because it's not material, right?
Right, but that doesn't mean I don't believe that it exists conceptually, and it can be demonstrated to me conceptually.
Well, right, but it's also depends on the people you're around, right? Because people have different forms of justice and they have different ideas of what's just, correct?
Well, right, that's why I'm saying it exists conceptually.
Well, right, how do we know?
I don't think justice exists as like an objective, tangible or material thing. But we can still observe things and we can ascribe a quality of this is just, this is not just. Like,
how do we know? How do we know whose justice is correct?
Well, that's why I would say we can get into things that are more measurable as far as justice, because like say someone steals $10 from someone else, it would be just for that person to get their money back, and then for that person to receive some type of punishment, perhaps $10 being taken from them, so a $10 fine, something like that.
Yeah, but see, you're just how do I know that that's just besides you just asserting it?
Yeah, because justice would be people getting like equal punishment for transgressions.
You're just restating it. I'm saying, you're just asserting that that is just. I'm asking, how do you know that that's just?
Okay,
how do you know it?
Are you defining justice a different way?
Well, I'm saying, so that's the whole point is people define justice in a different way and they apply it in a different way. I'm asking, how do we know who's correct?
Yeah, so again, I'm not saying that justice exists objectively. I'm saying
so it's like relative.
Conceptually, we can demonstrate and we can argue for why we think certain things are just.
The metric system is conceptual, right?
Okay.
And it's not changeable, it's not relative, it's not depending on anything as the metric system. But with this thing that you call justice, again, I'm asking, we have a bunch of different people saying what's just, saying what's not just. I mean, you can see it in court cases every day, you can see it across the planet. How do we know who's correct?
Yeah, so again, I don't think that there is objective justice. So I don't think we can objectively say who is correct.
Right. So if I say something, like something happens and you say, that's very unjust. And I say, well, actually, I think it's pretty just. I think they deserved it. How could you possibly tell me I'm wrong?
Because
you just told me it's subjective.
Yeah, so I can't say you are objectively wrong, but I can give you argumentation as to why
so then what's the point?
Was unreasonable or disproportionate.
Right, but what's the point if
unless you can convince me that objective justice does exist, subjective justice is all we have.
Right. So if we just take that worldview where everything is relative and subjective and there's not actually some measure of truth or morals or justice or whatever, then like literally, I could literally do anything. And the only answer you could have to stop me is force. You wouldn't actually have an argument for why I'm wrong.
Okay. That might be the case. Give me a reason to believe that there is objective justice.
Well, wait, I'm granting your worldview. I'm saying, okay, let's grant it. So that means I could say, hey, we're going to force everyone to become Christian. We're going to take women's right away to vote. We're going to put people to work. We're going to whatever, and you can't actually tell me that it's wrong because you have no objective standard of what justice is. And you don't even see an issue with that.
I cannot objectively tell you it's wrong because I don't believe in the existence of objectivity for justice or morality.
Someone doesn't hold on a second. Someone said someone doesn't understand how definitions work. I don't think you understand the argument.
Brando, you're having a conversation with me.
Right. Well, you sort of have some, I don't know, never mind. But yeah, so basically we have this worldview. We don't know what justice is. It's not actually a thing. It's just whatever you think in your head at the time versus whatever somebody else thinks is by force. So that's you like that worldview.
Subjectively doesn't mean that it's not real or it's useless. And also, again, you would have to. Well, wait a second.
It's not real. It's a figment of your imagination.
You would again have to convince me that objective justice or morality exists because I can understand.
Why would I need to do that? I'm going with your world. No, I want your worldview. Because then I can just do whatever I want.
I've already told you what my worldview is.
No, see, you got
You're
stuck by
saying
Hume's.
you're
No,
saying
this is
you
Hume's
don't like
guillotine.
it. You're saying you don't like it. That doesn't make it false.
Wait, I didn't. I said no. I just said I grant it. I do like it. So basically, anybody can do whatever. The only thing we have is force at the end of the day. To stop.
I can give you logical arguments for why we ought or ought not do certain things. That's not really super related to what we're talking about. Oh. Okay, he vanished. Okay, well, in conclusion, just because the idea of there not being objective justice or morality makes you uncomfortable, does not mean that there is objective justice or morality. You would have to demonstrate the existence of those things rather than just asserting that you don't like the alternative. Yeah, I guess you just got raptured. Well, wasn't that something? He was very upset. Oh, it looks like we might have someone being screened. So we might have someone coming through soon. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. But thank you guys for being here. What do we think of the new layout? TikTok in particular, does it look okay for you guys? Because I was trying to set it up so that the window is good for the chat. Hey, church shit, good to see ya. I just want to make sure that like the chat is legible, that the proportions are okay, because it's all very fancy. And I want to make sure that people can read things, because before I tried a fancy one, people were like, I can't read the chat for shit. Lovely, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you guys like it. I thought it looked really neat. And it's a lot easier for me to change the topic and the guest name at will. So yeah, someone can send a screenshot in Discord if they've got a screenshot of how it looks on TikTok. You can't read in general. Woo. Lavender's a good choice. Y'all know. The only bummer is because it is vertical, I can't use some of the fancier, like, animated screens. But, you know, maybe we'll get there eventually. Could be darker at the bottom, or is that a dark mode thing? I have white text. I can try to use a darker one. It just, it does, it leaves a little bit less room. The graphic for the darker text box, doesn't leave as much room for the chat, so I'd have to like scoot it up into the video feed. It's a whole fucking thing. What if it was the other way around, like people doing this about pride? Well, legislators are doing that about queer people. So I think little old me doing a TikTok live stream is just fine, right? We have so much anti-LGBT legislation that is either like been passed or proposed. So I don't know. It feels like maybe they kind of are already doing that with queer people. So who made this layout? It was someone on Etsy. I got it off of Etsy, and I will get their name just so I can make sure that I can credit them. But I think it is adorable, and from what I can tell, did not use any AI in its creation, because that was important to me. I looked for so many different ones. Yeah, did not see it. Well, it looks like we do have a join request, so I am going to bring someone in. Looks like we have Jordan coming up. Give me just 1 second, Jordan. I'm going to put your name up. All right. You there, Jordan? Jordan, are you there? Hello? I cannot hear you if you're speaking. One more time.
Are you able to hear me now?
Ah, there you are. Yes.
Oh, great. Fantastic. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I'm doing all right. So, your name is Jordan, correct?
That is me.
All right. And what pronoun should I use for you, Jordan?
He, him, please.
Wonderful. And what is your religion or lack thereof?
A lack.
Lack. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, why is God an a-hole?
I was actually calling in to give a little bit of commentary on the previous caller, if that's okay.
Okay. Calm away.
Yeah, so I think that when we make claims about having objective morality, that sounds really useful because then there's like this defined standard. But actually, if objective morality does exist, we still have no means of accessing it. So it's actually makes no difference one way or the other. You can make the claim that religion provides this sort of divine revelation of it, but obviously we have contradictions at many points.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we have subjective morality, that's going to be grounded in individual values and principles. So, for example, I might value human rights, and I can reason with you then about like why you ought to value those.
Right.
Yeah, so even though like my subjective morality is not an objective standard, we have the ability to reason with other people's subjective standards and to bring them around to our view. So that's
Yeah.
all.
Largely, I agree, and that's kind of the road that I was starting to go down with him. With like, I can give you argumentation, like logical argumentation, for really just logical consistency. Because if we hold the standard that like we have means that we want, we have means that we take to achieve goals, we
Right.
must have like our own life and well-being in order to make those
Right.
actions. So we must afford those same things to other moral agents if we're being
Right.
consistent. So we must
And
also afford to them life and well-being.
I think people like the previous caller often associate subjectivism with full cultural moral relativism. And it's not exactly the same
Yeah.
because I could have a subjective standard of morality that I take to be like superior to the people around me. You know, people in the country I live in don't value human rights sometimes, and I think that their moral worldview is worse than mine. And I'm able to reason with them and appeal to the things that they value in order to try to demonstrate that they're wrong. So just having subjective morality doesn't mean that we can't have moral disagreement or that it's entirely groundless.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
Well, Jordan, it seems like we're pretty much in agreement here.
yeah, I'm
So
sorry. I just wanted to weigh in because I was getting a bit frustrated, but thanks for letting me on, and I'll see myself out.
yeah, have a good one, Jordan.
Take care.
All right. Hello there. I've got a little bit of echo from you.
Sorry, I'm on speakerphone. I could change that. Well,
Yeah, if you have
maybe.
headphones or
That's one of the
something.
things. Let's see. Is this better?
Let me talk and see. I still hear myself a little bit, but it seems generally better.
Okay. Would you mind if I grab like some earbuds?
Go ahead if you can do
Take
so
like
quickly.
just a few seconds. All right, will do. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn down his volume for now. Whoa, holy shit, there's a lot of people on YouTube right now. Hi, YouTube. Oh my god. Sorry. I just have like triple my normal viewership on there right now. So that's a little bit scary. Hello, thank you for being here. Throw a subscribe my way if you haven't already. Right now we're waiting for our guest to go grab some earbuds. If you haven't been here before, I'm robotgoat. I am an ex-evangelical, a former Christian. I primarily talk about religion and deconstruction, sometimes just because I am non-binary. People want to bring up gender identity. It's usually not the primary topic. So thank you guys for being here. Good to see ya.
Could you hear me better now?
I hear you all right. There's still just a tiny bit of feedback, but I think it'll be all right.
All right, cool. I'm not really here to debate. I just want to hear your perspective on God. That's all.
A-hole.
A-hole how? Like,
Well, talking specifically about the biblical God, he commits genocide, he has women raped as punishment, he condones slavery, he condones infant slaying, he tortures animals for some fucking reason. Just a lot of not good shit.
yeah, that's fair. Do you believe in Christ at all? Like, what do you think of him aside from God, just Christ?
I'm kind of not sure whether or not he is a historical figure, but I don't really care that much. I definitely don't think he was divine.
Okay, gotcha. What's your opinion on on the afterlife? Like, what do you think happens after we die?
I don't think there is anything that happens after we die. I think we die. I think it's going to be the same as before we were born.
Gotcha. That makes the most sense to me. But like, I like to believe that there's the heaven, just to have some faith in something, and like, just to not have an existential crisis. It's hard to accept that kind of thing. But
I get that. I just can't make myself believe things. I have to be convinced of them. I could try to lie to myself and say I believe in a heaven or an afterlife, but I just don't think it's true.
yeah, there. You mean like there's be like enough proof? Like you have to completely trust in some sort of feasible proof, or tangible, whatever the word is.
More just I need to be convinced of something to believe in it.
Okay, gotcha. So do you believe in what higher power do you believe in?
I'm an agnostic atheist.
Okay, gotcha. What? I don't know. I feel like that's all the questions I have right now. I'm kind of multitasking, but it was nice. It was nice hearing someone else's perspective.
Good talking with you. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.
Next up, I'm gonna do one more caller from our call-in queue, and then back to TikTok. Next up, we've got Caleb. He/him pronouns. Hello, Caleb. You there? It looks like you're muted right now. You'll need to unmute yourself, Caleb.
Yo.
There you are. Hey there, Caleb. So you are a Christian, is that right?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why the yeah?
Just cause, like, yeah, I'm a Christian.
Okay.
I have been intellectually and faithfully convinced of the existence of Jesus Christ being my Lord and Savior, and I believe when I die, I'm gonna go to heaven.
Okay. So why is God an a-hole?
I actually don't believe that. I do have some questions though,
Okay.
regarding. You said you're an ex evangelical. You were a believer in the past. What led to your departure from the faith?
So it was a series of things. Some of it was being away from the environment that I grew up in, where I was exposed to more diversity of thought. So rather than just accepting the worldview that I had been told was the only possible truth, I was able to investigate my beliefs more. There was also the fact that I was presented evidence that contradicted many of the claims of the Bible. I realized some logical contradictions in the Bible and in the described nature of God in the Bible, and just lack of evidence for the existence of a God.
Okay. So first one, you said, just trying to like recap, You said diversity led to strained beliefs. The second one you said logical contradictions, right? That's what you said on the second
There's
one.
contradictions in the Bible.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing a contradiction that I could look into or like explain in a way?
Yeah. So God can't be both all powerful and all good.
Okay. How is that?
Because to be all powerful, he would have to have the power to be evil.
Okay. I never. That's very interesting. I'm confused. So
I
you're
grant that.
saying in the grasp of him being all powerful, he has to also be all evil. Or have the
Not
ability to
all
do
evil.
evil.
He just has to have the ability to do evil.
Okay. That's
Otherwise, he's not all powerful.
okay. That's very interesting because that's a perspective. It's like, yeah, I guess, but at the same time, we have to understand that a righteous and holy God has free will, but he chooses not to step out of that free will because of self control, because of the righteousness.
So he does have the ability to be evil?
No, like, is it not? I wouldn't say he would because it's not in his nature to. It's like, yeah, I have the free will to, and excuse me for being a little graphic, for hitting on a child. Like, yeah, I could do that, but I will obviously restrain myself and not do that
That's
because
so sweet that you're like trigger warning, and then you say like the most inane form of
I
violence.
mean, I'm not
I
graphic, but I'll
appreciate
say
it. It's
I'm
sweet.
very what's it called? I use very larger than life metaphors, but
Okay.
in a way, it's like, yeah, I do have the ability to do that because, but I won't do that because it goes against my character. Sure, God could do something unrighteous, but He will not because it goes against His character.
Okay, so he's only capable of doing things that are within his nature.
I would say that, yeah. I would
That's
believe he chooses not to step outside of his character, outside of his nature, though he may have the ability to do so.
but having all of the abilities within one's nature is true of literally everyone. I have all of the abilities within my nature.
Really? So are you omnipresent?
That's not in my nature.
So so you have all the abilities within your nature, meaning you're a redhead. So my ability is to have red hair. That's what you're saying.
Well, it's actually fake. I
Fake.
appreciate that,
My
but
apologies. Yeah.
that's all right. I'm open about it.
Yeah, but like in that sense, that's what you're saying, right?
Well, yeah, it's if you're saying that God has the power only to do things within his nature, you are limiting him to a subset of powers that everyone would have
Yeah.
individually. I
Okay,
only
okay.
have the powers that are within my nature. So I don't have the power to fly because it's not within my nature, but I do have the power to like be a sexy bitch because that is
So
within
I,
my
I
nature.
guess I guess my reasoning for saying all that is God has all power, but the power that he has, he uses it to enact and act on his will, and his will is righteous and holy. So does God have the power to do what is wicked? Yes. But will he act on that will? No. So he has all power, but he does not act on that will because it goes against his character. It goes on against his nature. Is that
So he
understood?
does have the ability to do evil things. Is your
I
final
mean,
answer?
yeah, sure. If you want to phrase it that way, and I'm not gonna say you misquoted me, but like
Well, I'm
harp on,
asking. I'm trying to clarify.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm hearing you. But if you want to harp on that and ignore the fact that I'm saying God will not act on that because it is not in his character, then yes, just like you have the ability to smack a little kid walking down the street, but you will not
Whoa,
act on
trigger
that.
warning, Caleb.
Oh, my apologies. But you will not do that because that's not in your character. That's not in your nature. That's what I'm trying to say. Sure, yeah, he has the ability to, but he will not do it.
Yeah, I would say God kind of has done a lot of things that
Okay. Well, I would love
are
to hear. I would love to hear some of these.
yeah. So he condones slavery
Ah, wow. That's
consistently.
yeah. See, this is something that, by the way, not that it matters. I don't care none about it, but I am an African American, so this is something that I
Gotcha.
hear a lot. Oh, hey, you believe in Jesus, man? Jesus this, and 30, but it's like the Bible explicitly, what's it called? Goes against our modern idea. Well, I wouldn't say modern. I'm talking about the 1800s. 1800s idea of slavery explicitly. And
It
if you
does
want,
not.
Yes, I would love to give you some examples, man.
Please do.
Yeah. So, first of all, slavery back then, explicitly, if you know anything about Jewish customs and Jewish law,
It was
they
not
have
just indentured servitude.
I wasn't even getting there, but I'll go ahead and continue.
Okay.
Very explicitly under Jewish law, there is, if you know anything about like the sevens, they were obsessed with the number 7. You have to rest on the Sabbath day, 7 this, 7 that, 7 candles, 7 bowls, this, that, and the third. They're obsessed with the number 7. If you have a slave, you cannot own him or her for more than 7 years.
That's
and if the
not
slave,
true.
do I need to pull up a verse? Is that cool?
What you're talking about only applies to fellow Israelites, and there's actually plenty of loopholes described in the Bible.
Okay.
So, for example, if that slave is given a wife by his master, falls in love with her, and has kids, if he decides he wants to stay with his wife and kids, he has to agree to become a slave for life. Additionally, foreign slaves that were either from conquest or purchased from foreign lands did not have to be set free. They were kept for life and could be passed down to people as inheritance. That's in Leviticus 25, verses 44 through 46.
Okay. See, I'm gonna look into that for myself, me and personally. But yeah, that I do not believe that. I would also like to quote 1 Timothy, I think is chapter 10, that says, we know that the law is made for the right, not for the righteous, but for the lawbreakers, and it lists a whole bunch of people: the sexually immoral, the murderers, the homosexuals, the slave traders, and the liars. Slave traders are included in unrighteous and wicked people. So it's like
Is that a quote from God?
This is a quote from the Word of God, the living, breathing Word of God. Yes.
But what I told you, the verses in Leviticus are listed as direct quotes from God that you could have slaves. And I think slave trader. What version are you reading?
I'm reading. I believe this is NIV.
NIV. Yeah. So there are places where it talks about slave traders, and it talks about like that you're forbidden from selling someone into slavery. It's not quite what that translation means. So the verses that talk about like you cannot force kidnap a free person and force them into slavery, it's often interpreted as a verse against slavery, and it sounds kind of similar to what you're talking about here, like the slave traders. But again, that was talking about it was wrong to kidnap people if they were already enslaved or if they were taken as conquest during war. There is no law against that. There's also verses where fathers can sell their daughters into slavery if they are in like desperate financial straits.
Are we talking about slavery or arranged marriages? Because that's very different and completely different compared to our culture.
Explicitly slavery.
Explicitly slavery.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can pull up those verses for you.
Yeah.
So this is going to be in Exodus 21. So if we want to talk about the thing where you can like trick someone into being your slave for life, we can actually start at the beginning of the chapter where it says, and I'm reading NRSVUE by the way, but it says, when you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, but in the 7th year he shall go out a free person without debt. Notice how it specifies Hebrew slave, because this only applies to those in Israel. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave declares, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out a free person, then his master shall bring him before God. He shall be brought to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him for life. So basically, if you give a wife to a slave, then if he wants to stay with her, he has to agree to become a slave forever. So
what about the part where it says that if he loves his master, like has an endeared respect for his master, follows his master? This is clearly not someone who's beating on him, raping him, and all the atrocities that happened during the 1800s and everything that happened to African American slaves. Clearly,
we'll get to that later in this chapter.
Okay.
But the verse I wanted to point to is verse 7, which is right after the part that I just read, where it says, "When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the males do. If she does not please her master who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt unfairly with her. If he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her as a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish the food, clothing, or marital rights of the first wife. And if he does not do these 3 things for her, she shall go out without debt, without payment of money."
Yeah, we gonna look over that last verse. So it's saying if okay, she's saying if you have a woman in slavery, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
take care of her, you're gonna watch over her, you're not gonna let go of the other wife, you're going to provide for her, and if you don't do any of those things, you cannot sell her to another foreign person. You don't do any of those things, she is able to go free without debt. It wasn't like, oh, you could have this woman rape her, rob her, and do whatever you want with her,
Hold
and
on.
then if you don't
Hold
feel like
on.
it, you can toss
What?
her out.
Hold on. If he does not please her master who designated her for himself, what does that mean?
Say it again.
The phrase, "if she does not please her master who designated her for himself," what does that mean?
It means she's not serving her master. She's not doing what she meant to be doing.
Serving how?
Let's not get into, oh, this is talking about sexual
It
immorality because
is.
the
It's
Bible
talking
very
it no, it's not immorality, because this is a forced arrangement in which it says,
no
if he
ma'am, I'm
takes
sorry.
another wife, he shall not diminish the rights of the first wife.
I'm sorry.
The,
What verse? You said Exodus 25, right?
Exodus 21.
Exodus 21. And what verse specifically?
So starting in verse 7 was what I was just reading.
Verse 7. So the daughter's servant marries, if he marries another woman, he must deprive first the clothing and the marital rights. Okay. Well, there's a see, this is gonna be hard to explain to a non-believer, but there's this kind of concept in the Bible. The Lord will give rules. Do not do this, but He understands that the man's heart, the heart of man, meaning man and woman, is unrighteous and wicked.
Then why
So
not
I'm
then
telling
why not
y'all,
make the rule be, don't sell your daughter into slavery?
because he understands regardless, nonetheless, they're going to do this because of the culture at the time.
But
Many examples,
no,
I could pull up verses in
no,
Nehemiah.
Caleb, you're misunderstanding my question.
Yeah.
He's not prohibiting anything with these rules. So this is not him saying don't do this, knowing people are going to do it. He's saying you can do this.
He says, if a man sells his daughter as a servant, she's not to go free to service. Yada, yada, yada. If he marries another woman, strikes a woman, is not provided with these 3 things, she is to go free without any payment of money. See, I'm you saying that, but I'm not understanding. I'm not receiving what you're trying to say. If you can just hear me out for 1 second, just let me get my point across. The Lord very, very, very explicitly, black or white, you could have made it gray if you wanted to, have only one wife. Go to Genesis 2 verse 23.
No.
Yes, my friend. Let's go to Genesis 2 verse 23. A man shall have one wife, and they shall become one flesh. He shall leave his mother and his father. This is very explicit. Another example, Abraham and Sarah, they married, they wed. What does Abraham do and step outside of that?
What was the verse that you said?
I believe, if I'm not misquoting it, is Genesis 2 verse 23. Genesis 2 verse 13. I believe.
No.
No? Dang, what?
That's talking about rivers.
Oh, yeah, that is the rivers. 2 verse 23, not 13. My apologies. Oh, 14. Not 14, sorry. Just keep reading 24.
24?
Yeah, look, I'm going to read it from my
This
translation.
doesn't say just one.
That is why when a man leaves his wife and mother, she is united to his wife, and they become one flesh.
Yeah, that doesn't say that you can only have one wife.
Then why would the Bible explicitly say
it says when a man leaves his father and mother and clings to his wife, they become one flesh? Yeah, you can do that with multiple partners. Because, yeah, Abraham, multiple wives. Jacob, multiple wives, because we had Leah and Rachel, that all fucked up thing, right? David had tons of concubines. Pretty much every king had tons and tons of concubines. So, no. And the verses that we were just reading were describing taking multiple wives, because it says if he marries another woman, if he has another wife, that would mean in addition to the first.
Yeah.
So what we're describing here is a man selling his daughter into slavery, and she's not going free like the men do.
Yeah.
She's designated for the master, which is in a sexual capacity.
In your
And if she
understanding.
does not, well, because there's so many different times where it talks about a wife not pleasing a husband, and it means it's like always right after he goes into her. So it's like he may go into her, if she does not please him, then let her go, sort of thing. So
Yeah,
if she does
I'm
not
gonna
please her
verse for that.
master, then she shall be redeemed, for he has dealt unfairly with her. We'll also
Yeah,
see
I'm
in other
sorry, I lost the verse. Can we go? You said it's Exodus what?
Exodus 21. So
Exodus
he
21,
he
thank
has
you.
dealt unfairly with her. There's similar portions where in the Bible it says like he has dishonored her, or like he has wronged her, and every single time it's after grape. So we see
I'm
this
sorry, you said
language a
Exodus
lot.
21? I don't see this in Exodus 21. I just lost it too.
Exodus 21 starting verse 7.
Oh, verse 7. Thank you. Yeah. See, okay. Well, you said, oh, Abraham and Sarah. You said Rachel and Leah over there with what's that boy name
Jacob.
Jacob? Yeah, Jacob. Man, I hate that dude. Yeah, he was a liar. But you mentioned those, but the Bible never ever said, man, shout out Jacob out there having 4 wives, man. He was smoother than a criminal. Like the Bible never condones that. It never praises him for that. It simply records details. And I think something that outsiders and people who do not understand scripture, when they read, they see something recorded and like, dang, the Bible affirming this. Like, no, the Bible is recording what is happening. It's a historical event
Yeah.
that happens. It is not
Question
saying, oh, y'all
though.
cool, y'all can do this, that, and the third.
There's a question though.
Yeah.
There's 613 laws in Leviticus, and not a single one of them is not to take multiple wives. Why?
Because it's something that's like, see, I can't name a single law off the top of my head, and that's on me.
I bet you can. 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments? No, I'm talking about I can't name a single law that says thou shalt not have this, that, and the third. Like I can't. I will say one example is for the population to increase. On one hand, through the population increase of this new nation, and on the second hand, I could say explicitly in the second covenant in the New Testament, it is very explicitly like, yo, don't do that. 1 Timothy 3 verse 2, I believe, says that like an overseer, or depending on translation, I might say a deacon, should be the husband of one wife. And another pastoral letter, I think it's Titus 1 verse 6 or 7. It says the husband should be of one wife.
Yeah, it does say that, but again, you're quoting things that weren't supposed quotes of God.
See, that's
and
this
that's
is
not
something
and that's not applicable to anybody. That was just somebody in a certain position religiously.
Yeah, this is something that's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to explain this to you. If the Bible transcribes it, if this is a command from somebody that is of God, this is God talking through them. This is God speaking. I believe it's 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy that says all scripture is God breathed. I think it's 2 Timothy 3:16. All scripture is given by inspiration of God. So it's like, if we're taking the Bible front value, we're not calling it true, we're not calling it fiction, we're not saying none of that. We're just saying we're gonna apply the laws of the Bible to the Bible. If I'm quoting a scripture from a different verse or a different book, and God is not explicitly talking, it's still God talking. If we're not calling it fact or fiction, we're just applying the rules of the Bible to the Bible. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, somewhat, but I'm not sure it was really a direct response to what I said. So
Because you're
again,
saying it's not God talking. And what I'm trying to say is, let's not call the Bible fact or fiction. Let's not do that. All we're doing right now is applying the rules of the Bible to the Bible. And the rules of the Bible explicitly in Timothy, all scripture is God breathed. So even if it's not God talking, it's still under the inspiration of God. That's what I'm trying to communicate.
yeah, but that can't be the case because there are things said in the Bible that are not good.
Okay, so give me an example. Go ahead.
So So anytime anyone says something evil, it would be the word of God. Then what are
No,
like
you're
you're
not
trying?
catching it. You're not catching it.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
you're
trying to
trying to.
say all scripture is God breathed. So we talking about people are transcribed. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. That the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Okay, you're
God,
jumping around a lot here. I want to kind of
because
focus in.
okay, what I'm trying to communicate is my apologies. I mean to do that. What I'm trying to communicate, you're trying to say that's not true. That claim cannot be true because there are wicked things or wicked people saying things in the Bible. And if all scripture is God breathed, that includes those wicked things. That's what you're trying to include. That's what your statement is, right?
Well, I'm saying if you're claiming that everything that is said in the Bible
Okay.
accurately reflects the thoughts of God, then any wicked thing that's said would also have to reflect the thoughts of God.
Okay. That's not what I'm trying to say then. What I'm trying to say when I say all scripture is God breathed is when someone is saying, yo, by the way, guys, this is Moses talking. Don't put the toilet seat down when y'all pissing. Make sure y'all lift the toilet seat up. Because it's not necessarily God saying that, but it is a man of God speaking on behalf of God. It's still it's
But
God
if
breathed. It's
Moses
still God
says,
saying that.
"Hey, God says this," and that
Yes.
apparently contradicts someone else giving their
Okay.
own
Let's give an
opinion.
example of people contradicting themselves speaking on behalf of God.
Well, no, I'm saying not that they're contradicting themselves, but that they contradict what supposedly God said. For
But yeah,
instance,
so can we
how
get an
in
example of
Exodus
that?
21, when it says, like, if he takes another wife, then that seems to suggest, because God is saying if he takes another wife, it's not don't take another wife, it's here's what you do if he does take another wife.
Yeah.
So that is a quote from God. So if someone else says, hey, you should only have one wife, which, by the way, again, it's only talking about people in very certain specific positions of power, that's not a general statement to everybody, then wouldn't we believe the supposed quoted word of God over the person who is giving their own opinion, even if it's inspired?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm hearing what you're saying. You're saying if we trying to say that all commands from the Bible is of God and God's talking through these people, then why they contradict themselves? That's what the point is, right?
It's more
In a way.
so what should we listen to in those
Okay. So
circumstances,
should
because
we
one
listen
is
to God
claiming to
directly
be,
talking or someone talking through God or God
yeah,
talking through somebody? Both. They're both speaking
but
on
they're
behalf of God. God is speaking on
contradictory.
behalf of himself sometimes, and other times he uses someone else to speak on behalf of him. And I like to just let's go back to this point.
But they're
If he takes
contradictory,
another wife,
Caleb.
what happened?
They're contradictory, though.
No, if they take another wife. Not go ahead take another wife. If he does. Where do we have commands to have multiple wives? Where do we have
But that's
commands
saying
to
it's permissible, because he says, like, oh, just take another wife, but he never says don't take another wife in these 600 plus laws. And
I mean,
again, the
I feel like
reference that you gave me in First Timothy was not generalized to, like, everybody, right? It was,
mm,
I'll read it again. Now a bishop must be above reproach, married only once. So that's specifically talking about qualifications of bishops.
mhm.
That's not saying that nobody should ever take more than one wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Well then, okay, that's fine, dude. I appreciate you saying that. I could pull up a verse that doesn't have anything about a bishop. This is just Paul talking to a group of people like a church. Is that cool?
I would want to read it before I say that.
Okay, that's cool. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7 verse 2.
Okay. This doesn't specify just one wife or husband.
It says, "But as of the temptations to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband." Like, what you're like it's not I'm not saying you're reading into the text, but like you're assuming this means, oh yeah, oh I can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on my roster, and that's cool. I can have multiple wives, multiple husbands. But it's kind of laying out, and then we go on to 1 Corinthians 7 verse 39. It says a wife is bound to her husband as long as he lives. This is talking about singular. This is one person or one person.
Well,
Like,
no, typically women only had one husband, but husbands had multiple wives. So if the husband dies, she can remarried. Sorry, she can remarried. She can remarry.
yeah.
But that's because generally it was one husband with multiple wives, not the other way around. So notice it doesn't say that if like the woman dies, then the man is free to remarry. It specifies that the wife is bound as long as the husband lives.
Okay, so all right. I mean, like I'm hearing you, but it's like you have to understand this is my view on this is the view on life. Excuse my pride, my arrogance in that. This is the
You're
view
excused.
of my life. This is how I view everything to be. This is what I'm taught. This is what I not that I was raised in it, but it's something that I subscribe to.
I
I
get
believe
that.
it's truth.
I
So
believed
it's
it
like
fervently at one point too, but
I'm
you
sure you
gotta
did.
admit, Caleb, looking at these things where like if we go back to Exodus 21, we didn't get to this verse yet, but in that same chapter, it says that if a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. When you read things like that, and they're supposedly the quoted word of your God, does that not give you a little bit of pause?
Yeah. I would just like to say, I mean, it it's kind of like there are certain laws transcribed and prescribed in the Old Testament and Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all that, and the purpose of them not was for us to follow it to a T. I don't know if you really understand this, but I know you claim that you're a Christian for a little minute. Not for us to follow it to a T, but for us to examine ourselves, look at that, and say, "Dang, I can't follow 600 laws talking about you got to get 10th of your money, got to do wear the same fabric, you got to wash yourself at this time, you can't come
Right.
in contact with no
But
clean person, dirty person." You know
but
what I mean?
isn't another point of laws though to be able to punish people when they disobey those laws?
Yes.
So this is specifically abstaining from punishment. This says if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. So
Mm-hmm.
if you beat your slave, as long as they don't die, you don't get punished. So
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that prevents them from harming their slave. For example,
Oh, I wouldn't say nothing.
if you break a slave's arm, they're probably
Yeah.
not going to die, but you wouldn't be punished for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's nothing that says, "Oh, yeah, that's exactly how you supposed to do." Nah, I will go to I think it's Colossians 4. It says something like masters, like there it's talking about how masters are in like indebted, like they're meant to treat their slaves justly because they both have masters in heaven. And I believe Ephesians says the exact same thing that
Again,
we
Caleb, I'm just going to point out again here you're quoting other people, supposedly with God talking through them, but this is the direct law given from God.
yes,
So,
for a nation at a specific time in an ancient world.
but why make it so that there's no punishment if this was wrong? Why say you will not be punished if you beat your slave and they don't die?
Hmm. I believe it's because the Lord has like he's not intending for any man to rule over another person with the iron fist that they can just kill him and nothing happens to him. He has these laws in point, but if a slave rebels, if a slave attacks, if a slave runs away, and they have the right to punish them for their wrongdoings, they should not take it over the rational limit, not
But it
kill
says
them.
you can strike them with a rod.
Yeah.
Why allow striking them with a rod until they're close to death?
Mm-hmm.
Why allow that at all? Does that seem like any sort of just punishment for trying to escape from slavery, especially considering the fact that some of these people if they were not indentured servants, they were forced into servitude.
Mm-hmm.
Why allow any sort of physical harm? Why allow slavery?
Yeah. Um, like I said earlier, I mean, it's not gonna be a likable answer, but this is for a Pacific nation at a Pacific time in a Pacific area that the Lord saw fit. Like
Well,
when we talk about
maybe it should
certain
have been
things
an
too,
Atlantic nation. I don't know.
like what happened?
No, just
Okay. Nah, but like certain times, oh, why did the Lord allow genocide? Because it is a military
it's not
tactic.
allowed. The Lord commanded
Okay,
genocide on many
commanded. Let's say that.
occasions.
Nonetheless, it was for a specific time in a specific area for a specific reason. This is like, yes, the word of God is the word of God. The Bible is the word of God. I'm not saying that it's not, but we have to understand that this is a historical and a book that led people
Okay,
and had certain commands and ballistic commands that we would not apply to ourselves as modern day
but
Christians.
but whether or not you think we're applying them to ourselves, do you think that they are moral?
I believe they're fitting. And that's hard to say, but
It's not. I'm not asking fitting. Are they moral?
I believe they fit the time for the
Caleb,
reason
that's not
why
what
it's
I'm
being done.
asking. I'm not asking if you think they're appropriate to the time. Do you think that these were morally good rules?
Regarding the genocide or the slavery.
Well, anything we've talked about that God
Yeah,
commanded or legislated. Do
I'll
you
say
think
yeah
those are
because I
morally?
do I do wholeheartedly believe that my God is perfect. That the reason He put these laws in place, whether we want to agree with them or not, whether we can question and run circles around these rules and say, "Oh, why does it say in this verse?" and I pull up another verse, but that's not God talking. We could do that, but I do believe, nonetheless, the Lord put that in there and still allowed a safeguard for the people that were being oppressed. The woman, on the other hand, if they were not kept as the Bible said, their needs were not met, they were allowed to go free without any debt. The slaves, if they were harmed beyond recovery in 1 to 2 days, they were allowed to go free without
Yeah,
having any debt.
but
So it's like,
here's the thing though. Letting them go free wouldn't be necessary if God didn't let them enslave people in the first place. By I know you say that he makes rules knowing they're not going to follow it, but he didn't even make rules against this. He
mhm,
allowed them to enslave people. He allowed them to do physical harm to and sexual harm to those people that they enslaved.
let's
There
say that
are not there's no rules to punish that.
it is
In
saying nothing about sexual nothing, but okay.
well, we
But
talked about how the woman is being kept as a wife for the master. So that would be sexual. Because there's not really there
mhm,
in this time in this time period there wasn't like a ceremony for
yeah,
marriage. It was
mhm,
basically you pay the bride price, you have sex with her, she is your wife now. Um
yeah,
so when it says she will be your wife, what that means is you have sex with her.
okay. So not to move the goalposts, but what are your views, your opinions, and your this, that, and thirds on the gospel itself?
Oh, that will that be a pivot, not moving the goalpost. And
Same
I
difference.
gotta say, if we've reached the conclusion of that topic, I do have some people who have been waiting quite a while now.
Hey man, that's
Um,
cool. That's cool.
so I will move on. Yeah, listen, Caleb, you do seem like a smart kid. Uh, I encourage you to look into this a little bit more, and obviously most people who say, oh, I'm going to ask my pastor about this or they're going to consult a religious text about this, but I do just implore you to also seek non-religious sources, because obviously all of those religious sources are going to try to justify the things that are in the Bible. They're going to try to
Mm,
make it make sense.
okay.
um, and I'm not even saying look at like anti-religious sources necessarily, just look at a religious sources.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting because the ideas that we have for our current morals in this quote unquote, what's the word, modern society comes from, guess what, the Bible. Where did Gandhi get his nah, let's not this down the third. Where did Gandhi get his viewpoints on equality, the Sermon on the Mount? Where did John Brown get his radical ideas on abolitionists? Jesus Christ. I
Uh,
mean,
abolition was the result of the Enlightenment movement.
I'm talking about John Brown. I didn't
Right,
say
but
any.
it began in Haiti. Um, the Enlightenment was the source of slavery abolition initially.
That's not what I said. I didn't make no claims about that. I'm talking about John Brown. I'm talking about these people who have radical desires for freedom, for righteousness, for this, that, and the third. Where do they get these supposed morals? Since I'm sure that you believe morals are suggested. Where did they get these from? Subjective, not suggestive. Where did they get these from? A lot of them from scripture, and I think that's something worth looking into. I believe if a book can be so finely preserved for 2,000 something years, looking at the Dead Sea Scrolls and this, that, and the third, I believe it's worthy to be to be praised.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would agree that it's been so finely preserved for so
I would
long.
love to see. I would love to see a claim that says
That's
otherwise.
that's a whole other long conversation. For now, I think I've got to move on to one of my other guests, as I do have
Yeah, that's
a
cool.
fair amount of people waiting. But Caleb,
That's
thank you
cool.
so much for coming in.
Yep.
You have a good rest of your night.
God bless. Repent and believe the gospel.
Okay. Well, you spoiled it a little bit at the end there. Next, we're going to go back over to TikTok. I think I've talked to this person before. Hey there, Ninja of Love. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Ninja of Love. I would like to remain anonymous on my pronouns, and I would also like to remain anonymous on my age, but I am over 18.
Well, you can't really remain anonymous on pronouns. I'm asking that just so my chat can be respectful when referring to you. So, would they call you a he, a she, a they, something else?
You guys don't have one for anonymous? Like people don't have a right to autonomy? Not anonymous?
Anonymity?
Anonymity.
Again, it's just
I knew I messed up when I said it. I said autonomy.
it's just so that people can be respectful when they're talking about you.
Okay, they can respect me just by saying anonymous or something. I don't know.
So a comment about that would be like, anonymous doesn't know how to use pronouns because anonymous says that anonymous's pronouns are anonymous. Does that seem reasonable to you?
Well, I mean, if you want to be, you know, if you want to come at me like that, I guess you could put it that way. But I know them, and I just like to remain anonymous. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, you can remain anonymous to everyone here by not being on my stream. Hate that you waited so long. All right, next up we have Dave, who is he, him, and a Christian. Dave, you able to hear me?
Oh, hello.
Hey there, Dave. How's it going?
Doing well. Doing well.
Let me spell your name right. Your name's not Dave. All right, so Dave, you are a Christian.
Yep. Hello.
Why is God an a-hole?
I personally don't think so. I think that the Bible follows what is called divine command theory.
Ooh.
You have to, which is, to some might seem like a bit of a scary stretch. And to me, I wouldn't necessarily say so. Only because if the definition, or at least the Christian's definition of what is good, is in line with his character, then anything outside his character he can't do. And if he establishes what is good, then I can't, I'm a flawed human being. I can't call it wrong per se. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think that there are flaws to that argument. I'm still kind of working around it.
Many flaws, including the horrible implications.
Yeah, that's fair, right? But
so
I think that
if God told you to cut a
ahead.
baby's throat, would that be good?
If he told me to cut a baby's throat, that wouldn't be in line what he's already told people.
Really?
He said
because he told them to cut the Amalekites' throats, particularly the infants. Well,
Did
he
he
didn't say
say
cut their
particularly
throats.
infants?
He said to put them to the sword, and he said specifically, yeah, children and infants.
Do you know why?
Well, I know the apologetics people try to say they're like, oh, the Amalekites were doing all these horrible things, these child sacrifices, they were going to grow up in evil and be just like their ancestors, blah blah blah, which is a horrible, weird eugenics excuse. But you said that killing a baby is against what God had already told people, but he told people to kill babies.
Murder is wrong in the eyes of God.
Great. So why is killing a baby not murder?
So murder is different from killing in war. Murder is if you kill out of spite or malice or unlawful killing. That's how it's defined.
Is killing civilians in a war not murder?
Killing civilians out of spite or any kind of malice, killing um, unjustly, which, as we know, international law says that's wrong. It would be considered murder. Yeah.
Yeah. So those babies were unjustly killed as they had committed no transgressions worthy of death.
Okay.
So it was murder. So God told them to murder babies.
So you think God can unjustly do something?
I would say that this is an example of an unjust action and God commanded them to do it. You would say it must be just because God commanded it, but I would ask you, what did those babies do that would made them worthy of being killed?
I think it's less about the babies per se and the narrative it's trying to tell.
Okay, well, the babies died. So I think it is a little bit about the babies. So what did the babies do to deserve being killed?
I would agree with you. Now, obviously, the death of any person is important, and it shouldn't have happened, right? And it's an unfortunate thing.
Okay,
and
so
nowhere
God
in the Bible does it
that.
say, and there nowhere in the Bible does it say that God thinks that murdering children is okay. And God also doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that the war on the Amalekites was like this beautiful thing that he wanted to happen. Timothy tells us that he desires all men to be saved.
So then why did he tell them to go back and finish the job? If he didn't want it to happen, why was he like, you didn't slaughter them all good enough. Go back and finish the job.
That's fair. Again, I'm going to ask you, why did he say to kill them?
Because their ancestors attacked the Israelites on their way out of Egypt.
Yeah. And so I believe, personally, that a lot of the quote-unquote wars or genocides, I guess, in the Old Testament were done in order to protect Jesus's lineage. And you can see that all throughout the Old Testament.
Protect Jesus's lineage. So it's okay to kill a baby if you think that it might somehow threaten Jesus's lineage?
Well, what we do see is that in the book of Esther, I believe it's Haman is a descendant of King Agag, who was the one that Saul had spared. And he tried to exterminate the entirety of the Hebrew lineage. In fact, all the Jews. And so what you see is a narrative story being told that, hey, one decision that you make now, one decision that you make now can completely affect a nation in the future.
Yeah,
and the thing is, if God is trying to save everybody through a Messiah, you can't let the Messiah die at birth, right? Which is why God protects him when Herod goes after the infants. Okay, which is funny because you said that God wants the babies to die, but he protects them.
Well, in this case, in 1 Samuel 15, he does specifically say to take out the babies. It says, "Now go and attack Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey." So he specifically calls out the children and the infants in this case. So what did the babies do for this to be just? This would have to be a deserving punishment to the babies, correct?
Yeah.
So
not
what
really.
did they... Not really. So justice is not about people getting what they deserve.
I would say so. But I would say that a lot of people are identified by their population, by their group, right? And if you're a baby at the time with the Amalekites, what are they going to likely do to you? What were they known for?
People say that they were known for child sacrifice, but I would say, so then the way to stop them from sacrificing their children is to slaughter every single one of the children?
It wasn't the way to just stop them from sacrificing children. It was to make sure that the nation doesn't rise up and destroy Israel, which is what exactly happened in the book of Esther. Haman.
Okay, so they just killed the babies for no reason, because it happened anyway.
No, Saul disobeyed God. And not all of the Amalekites were wiped out.
Gotcha.
And that is what led to an attempted extermination of the Jews.
So what baby was spared?
It wasn't like out of this hatred or spite.
What baby was spared?
Say that again?
What baby was spared?
What baby was spared?
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, like, I can't make the claim, hey, I was there, I know if babies were spared, but what it does say is that King Agag was spared. And
Yeah, what I'm saying is he would have to have
most
spared a
wars, there
baby
is the,
for the babies to have
Mhm.
affected the lineage of Jesus.
Yeah, so here's the thing, like, we have to read it from a narrative point of view. It's like it would be dishonest if we were to say that, like, oh, the words wipe, spare no woman, man, infant, and obviously I think all war is awful. I believe in just war, not holy war. I think war is evil. But I will say that it would be a dishonest reading of the text to say, oh, he says wipe them all out. They must have wiped every single one of them out.
Well,
Because
I'm
we
not
see
claiming that,
Amalekites
but I'm
in the next book. And
yeah,
so, yes, there were survivors.
right. But my problem is the fact that he specifies, hey, kill the children and the infants.
Yes, because what happens? Because they survive. They try and exterminate the Jews again.
But it wasn't those babies that did that. So you don't
Wait,
know that
I'm
those
just curious.
babies would have
Hold on.
definitively
I'm just
caused
curious.
that.
How do you know that the babies that survived it aren't the ones that grew up to try and exterminate Israel? Where do you get that idea from?
Because you said it was a descendant of Agag.
Exactly.
Who was not a baby.
Descendant of Agag. Agag. Wait, I'm just curious. Agag, many, 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 many years later, right? Well, of course he wasn't a baby. I don't know what your point is.
Yeah, what I'm saying is
why would Agag be a baby?
I'm not
several
saying
years
he was
later.
a baby. What I'm saying
okay.
is you're saying they had to get rid of the babies because
Yes, to protect Jesus.
sparing the babies
Yeah.
puts Israel in danger. But Israel was
Yes.
already in danger and they didn't spare the babies. So you can't claim that
Wait,
that
how do you
sparing the
know that?
babies would have
Wait,
put
hold on. You're saying they didn't spare the babies, and you have no textual indication of that other than a command. But you don't actually know that no babies were spared. You're just inputting that into the text. Where does it say that?
because the only people that we see spared
That we see written spared. It doesn't mean that we actually saw it. Like, not, you have to understand, like, it would be a dishonest reading to say that every single detail is going to be added into the text when some of those details don't actually matter or help the overall narrative of the Bible.
Yeah, but
right?
but God gets pissed at them when they don't wipe them all out.
Exactly my point.
So we would have
Because
heard
they
about
then
it.
try and exterminate the Jews.
So if there were more people that they
Mhm.
didn't exterminate, God
Yeah.
would have still been pissed about it.
Yeah, and he was, and that's why he said he regretted making Saul king.
But that situation is rectified, and then he doesn't say, well, there's still those babies you didn't kill. But all of this, again, Dave, this is interesting because
when you
hold on,
say
we've strayed
hold on, no,
really,
now,
really far. No, Dave,
okay.
we've strayed really,
Wait,
really
no,
far
no.
because you're going on mute now. Sorry. Because the initial claim here, when you're talking about divine command theory, was that God wouldn't command you to kill a baby. But obviously, God has commanded people to kill babies. Whether or not you think it's just or not, that is something that is documented in the Bible. So you cannot say that it is against what he told people to do. So let's go back to that point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, so I apologize.
It's all right. But we have textual evidence that God did tell people to kill babies. So if God told you to kill a baby, would that be good?
So again, right, I believe in the divine theory thing, which I kind of believe in. Sorry, so let me correct that. I'm leaning towards it, is I guess a better claim. What I'd say here is that he doesn't ever command someone to murder their baby, which is the definition that I gave earlier.
I'd say
which
yours.
Would be unjust murder, right? Like unjust killing of an innocent life. That would be murder. He doesn't do that ever in the Old Testament.
Okay, well, the babies were innocent lives.
But it wasn't unjust. You have to somehow prove from an epistemological standpoint that God is unjust.
Okay,
and if my standpoint is that God is the definition of what just is, and his decisions are all going to be good according to his own standards.
So I said kill a baby. So you might
murder.
not. I said kill.
You said he.
Well,
he
first I said
commanded
cut the
them to
throat
murder
of.
babies. Yeah, which implies murder. But he doesn't make anyone murder. And his law is thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill.
Okay, I'm asking you, as I asked you before, If God told you to kill a baby, would it be good?
To kill a baby? Is it
Yes.
what kind of baby? Are we talking a baby Hitler? Are
A
we
baby.
talking like just any baby?
God says this is a baby that you need to kill.
For what purpose?
He won't tell you.
Yeah, but the Bible, we're talking about biblical God, right? Christian Judea God, who gives a purpose for everyone. So he has to give a purpose.
I don't think he does always give a purpose.
Okay, can you show me an example where he doesn't?
Yeah, so when he was testing Abraham by telling him that he needed to sacrifice Isaac.
Have you read Hebrews 11?
Did he give Abraham a genuine purpose for what he was doing?
Yes.
He told him the truth up front?
Can you see Hebrews 11?
Did he tell Abraham the truth up front?
So did I say that he necessarily has to tell you up front, or that he has to have a purpose?
Well, I'm telling you, I said he won't tell you. He said he always gives a purpose. So it seems like that was you trying to argue back against he won't tell you. But him not telling you up front is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, so do you remember the covenants beforehand?
The covenant that he made with Abraham?
Yes, what did he say?
Not a reason as to why he would need to kill his son.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? So if I was a God and I told and I promised my servants that you're going to have a nation, or I guess think about it from your perspective, right? If God had told you that you were going to have a nation of descendants from your child, and you only have one kid, right? And then he a day later says, I want you to sacrifice this child. What is the implication there?
That he'll give you another child like he did with Job?
That he did with Job?
Yeah, how God took Job's kids away and then replaced it with more kids.
But when he said, I will give you a nation of descendants through your offspring, he was talking about Isaac.
But
so it's not like he's talking about some random, yes, in Genesis 15, through your offspring.
Right, but offspring, that could mean future children he doesn't yet have.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? It's like, you can either make the claim that Abraham believed he was doing it for no purpose, or you can read Hebrews 11, which says that he was fully convinced that God would raise Isaac back to life.
You're getting away from the situation that I've presented to you again.
I'm answering your question. You're asking whether or not Abraham
tell him before he did it what the purpose was.
Yeah.
So before God is going to tell you to kill this baby, and before you do it, he's not going to tell you why.
Okay. That's not the same scenario as the Abraham and Isaac story.
Okay, in that story, he also did not tell them beforehand why.
So what he did is he said, right, and this is according to Hebrews 11 again, is that Abraham had fully believed in God's promise.
I'm not asking what he believed. I'm asking what God told him.
Yeah, but that's what he believed God told him.
Okay, well, you might genuinely believe, okay, God has a good reason for me killing this baby. This must be right. That doesn't mean God actually gave you a purpose or a reason why.
Wait, so now you're saying that what Abraham understood God was saying in the text was wrong. Therefore, now it's like, now you're not even using the text against it.
No, what I'm saying is Abraham's belief in what the purpose was does not mean that he was actually given a purpose by God.
Well, it wasn't a purpose because what actually happened. Like, you're trying to make this claim that God told him to murder his son, but he didn't get to do that.
But he did tell him to do it. He stopped him.
It was also a Christology. Do you know what that is?
Okay, mister.
Wait, what's wrong with what I asked?
I don't, just the way you said that was, I don't know, very...
I didn't mean it, sorry, I hope you didn't think that I was trying to be condescending with that, by the way. I was just genuinely curious if you know what a Christology is.
I'm not sure I have heard of that.
Okay. So Christology, right, is pointing to a narrative that points to the coming of Christ. And so what you have is the story of Abraham and Isaac, where it says, your only begotten son, he puts wood on his back and makes him climb up a mountain called Moriah. You know, it sounds very familiar, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
I will
again,
have him as
you're
a
trying to get
sacrifice.
away from the fucking question. Like, Dave,
Wait, oh, so what's the question?
you have spun in so many circles to avoid talking about this. The question is,
Uh-huh.
if God told you
Uh-huh.
to kill a baby, he does
Yeah.
not tell you a reason why.
Sure.
What do you do?
He hasn't,
Is it a right thing to do?
But that's the thing, is that he hasn't done that, and I believe that what is good is based on God's nature.
He has done that. I've shown you where he's done that.
Where has he done that?
He's told Abraham to kill Isaac without telling him
But
why
that is
he
a
wanted him to kill
completely different
Isaac.
Scenario. That's a completely different scenario.
Just because you're not Abraham? Like, what's the symmetry breaker here?
No, because what you're asking with your first question is, would I kill a child? Then what you do is you give me an example of that, which is the Abraham and Isaac scenario, which has a completely different context than your hypothetical. It's completely different because Abraham was listening to God for multiple years before that actually happened.
Okay.
Listening to him for multiple years.
Okay, so what is the symmetry breaker? What is this? Okay, let me just tell you, Dave. I would not kill a baby for any reason.
Okay.
I was able to
think
answer
that's
that in
great.
about 0.3 seconds. You have spent nearly 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
trying to find a way desperately to cling to the
Wait,
idea that you wouldn't have to kill a baby if God
Wait, I'm
told you
just curious.
to.
If you knew that your future child, like, I'm just saying, like, this is as a hypothetical. If you knew your future child would genocide a people, would you allow him to live?
Couple problems with that hypothetical. Number one, I'm never having my own kids.
Okay.
Number two, can't know
the point of a hypothetical is that.
reliably.
I mean, the point of a hypothetical is that it's a what if, right?
Right,
so
but
if
I
you had a
also
child,
can't know future events reliably, because like if it's
Well, this is with the hypothetical that God exists, correct?
oh, so God exists in this hypothetical?
No, it's a hypothetical. It's a what if. If God exists and he were to tell you, hey, your future kid is going to end up genociding an entire people group that doesn't deserve it, would you let him live?
God wouldn't do that.
Would you kill your child? What?
God wouldn't do that.
Wait, why wouldn't he do that?
It's against how he does that.
How is that against how he does it?
Oh yeah, because God just wouldn't do that.
But yeah, but according to what?
The Bible.
What scripture? What? Okay, where?
Where he says that thou shalt not kill.
No, he doesn't say that. He says thou shalt not murder.
Well, it says thou shalt not kill in the version that I'm reading.
Okay, what's the version you're reading?
NRSVUE.
Gotcha. Can you go to Strong's Concordance of the Greek word?
Sorry. I didn't mean to laugh at the ridiculous thing you said that loudly.
I mean, that was rude. And you're calling me out. That was just disrespectful. I don't do anything to it.
Well, actually, this version does say, it says murder or kill because of footnotes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it says murder or kill. If you go to the ESV, it'll say murder. If you go to, I believe, the KJV, it'll say murder. If you go to the NASB, it'll say murder.
Okay, well, that would be murder, so God would never tell me to murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, yeah, so I don't have to answer your hypothetical because God.
Unjust killing.
Yeah, that would be unjust. That would be unjust.
An innocent life. Yeah, but you're saying what God. So you,
that baby is innocent, and that would be unjust.
Wait, but how is the baby innocent if God had just told you in the hypothetical he would kill billions of people or genocide of people?
Because God wouldn't tell, because God wouldn't do this because he wouldn't tell me to kill unjustly. So he wouldn't do it, so it must not be just.
Billions of people.
Dave, I'm not sure how you haven't caught on yet that I'm just mirroring your own argument back to you, and you rightfully so find it ridiculous.
That you wouldn't kill a child that would save billions of lives.
Well, first of all, you gave me a specific thing. I just said a child.
Okay. Because it wasn't a hypothetical that mirrored the situation with Abraham and Isaac like you said it did.
Oh, when did Isaac commit genocide?
When did Isaac commit genocide? I didn't say he did. I was saying that
so
your hypothetical
that's also not
doesn't
analogous.
match. Wait, no, but your hypothetical just did not match with your claim about Abraham and Isaac. because the Bible says he had absolute faith that God would raise him back to life. And so
Dave,
it's like,
oh my God,
okay,
how
that
many
happens.
times do I have to tell you that him having absolute faith does not mean God actually told him?
Do you think that it's something to keep into consideration that Abraham had been following this God for many years, and he had promised him things before, and they all came to pass?
I think Job also followed God for many years, and God did have Job's children struck down. So.
Mm-hmm. And what was the point of that story?
Just so God could prove he had the bigger dick.
In what way?
So the accuser was like, if you took stuff away from Job, he wouldn't like you anymore. And God's like, nuh-uh, bet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so he ruined Job's life. I almost said Joel, sorry. God did also ruin Joel's life.
Okay.
My buddy Joel. I don't know what other fucking Joel people might talk about.
So I think when you look at the story of Job, which is a very poetic book, and it's a theodicy, right? It talks about that of suffering.
Poetry. I love when he scrapes himself with pottery shards because of the horrible boils and scabs.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Robert Frost almost.
I just think that the context is very important, right? Again, the Bible's a narrative. It's not like a one chapter.
You think
thing.
the what is?
What?
The what is important?
The one chapter, it's multiple chapters. It has multiple meanings, and there's a lot of context that goes into it, and I think you're ignoring a lot of it.
You said it! I know you can't hear this, but there's a song playing. I'll let you know when it's done.
Okay. I'm just curious, because I'm genuinely trying to do it.
But all I know is it's context.
Okay. That was rude.
Alright, now it's over.
Wait, so I'm just curious, is like the rudeness, is that something that only applies to me, apparently, or are you just...
Oh yeah, I'm very nice to everybody else.
Why? What did I do to you?
I hate motherfuckers named Dave.
Okay.
Bad name. Get more letters.
Okay, so basically what you're going to do here is you're going to make a claim that God is an asshole, and then you're going to treat people as such.
Well, I'm not claiming to be a perfectly moral God, now am I?
Well, you are by saying that God is unjust, the one who establishes morality.
No, I recognize that I've also messed up sometimes.
Okay,
but that doesn't mean that I have to be like, well, I can't criticize genocide then, because one time I took a pen from my classmate's desk.
Okay, but what you're doing is you're criticizing, not just like any person, any flawed person. You would be criticizing the person I'm making the claim establishes morality as this moral standard, right? There's a reason Jesus said that God is good. Like, he is what goodness is. It reflects his nature. And so if you're going to make the claim that God is bad, you have to somehow say that the one who establishes good is bad. You can't do that.
I'm gonna pretty confidently say that murdering all those infants with swords was not good. I don't really need you to try to justify.
We've already
yeah,
gone over
I know
the
you said it wasn't
argument
murder when they
flat.
when they took those swords and they cut those babies' bodies apart until they died. Those babies were crying, watching their families get slaughtered, wondering what was going on. Barely able to lift their heads because they were little babies, and then they were torn apart by these grown men. That was a justified thing to do. That was a good thing to do, because God, being all-powerful, could not have done this any other way to preserve Israel while also not slicing babies apart with blades. Dave, you're a sociopath. Have an evening. Next guest. Sorry, I just got a little bit tired of defending the slaughtering of babies. Woo! Next up, we have Logan Lynn. Logan, you use he, him pronouns, correct? Oh, hold on. Let me unmute you. Logan.
Hello.
Hello there. You use he, him pronouns, and you're an Orthodox Christian, is that correct?
That is correct.
Sweet. Logan, why is God an a-hole?
Okay, so that's your position, right? Not mistaken.
Yes, one of my favorite positions. Second only to missionary.
All right. Well, I don't have that much time this time. I would come back another time, but I could talk about a few things real quick. Um, are there anything like specific
wonderful.
things you would want to point out about God supposedly being an a-hole that I could try to refute?
Yeah, let's go with Leviticus 21:9, where he
Alright.
said that if a daughter of a priest profanes herself through, well, it says prostitution, but really it means promiscuity, then she shall be burned in the fire.
Let me check that out.
Yep, go ahead.
I don't want to be like that other guy and just use context as an excuse, but you got to understand that the times do change, and he does use different regulations for different periods, just like how Jesus in the New Testament fulfilled certain laws but not others because they aren't necessary anymore and just cause extra stress that's not needed. So these laws, like a lot of the Leviticus laws that don't apply today, were necessary back then to keep his order.
Was it good, though? I'm not saying that I expect Christians to still do this. Goodness knows, a lot of people in my hometown would have been burned to death if that were the case. But do you think that those are good laws?
Well, protecting the act of, like protecting the act, because this was like not the punishment for it, but the act itself was created by him to be sacred, and people just doing it whenever they want to is disrespectful to his law.
So it's
which is
worth
why he would recreate
putting them through one of the
stuff like
most
this.
painful deaths imaginable?
I mean, we're just
Does that seem
humans. Like the average like
proportional?
100 IQ human can't overstep all-powerful God and say that they're right and he's wrong.
Gotcha. So it's
just
like a
because
his ways are
he
higher
said
sort of
so.
thing?
I mean, of course.
Right, I'm gonna
Any
mute you for a
human is
sec, hold
limited.
on. There's a song playing.
His ways are higher.
I'll unmute you when it's ready.
Who cares if the world's a mess? His ways are higher. I'm too blessed to be stressed. His ways are higher. I'm gonna say it with my chest. His ways are higher. This is a big barbaric test. Just pawns in a game of chess. But it doesn't make me love him less. I'm too blessed to be stressed.
All right, Logan, welcome back. We just had to listen to a banger by my friend Joel. Yeah, so burning women alive for having sex is bad.
Okay, but what's your set of morals to determine that? Basically about anything. Like if you come into the position without a higher power telling you what's right or wrong, then you're just basing it off of either your opinion or experience as a human.
Sure, my opinion and experience is being burned alive is bad.
Okay, like what necessarily makes anything bad if you don't have a set list of morals from
yeah, I don't think
a different
objective
place?
morality exists, so I don't think that there is objective badness. Oh, I got a super chat. Oh my goodness, I have several super chats to read that I have completely missed. Sorry about that. My stream fucked up. If you don't mind, Logan, I'm gonna read some of these real quick. We got a super chat from NBT and C, multiple ones. One says, "When will they learn universal negatives don't have a burden of proof?" LOL. Which I'm assuming that's going back to the conversation we were having about saying like there is not a god, and him asking for proof that there's not a god. This caller 100% says slurs and thinks they're cool. Slurs are subjective, don't you know? People are terrible. She essentially insulted Jesus, correct. Silva Fett says, "Yay, grats on the monetization, thank you so much." And Warehouse EDM says, "Why not make Dave say why babies are not innocent?" Dave was gonna say that the babies were innocent, but it was still justified. It was because he's gonna redefine justice, because justice is just whatever God does is justice. So slaughtering babies is justified because he says so. Fun little circle there. Yeah, but Logan, you would have to give me evidence to believe that there is objective morality for me to say that there is objective good or bad.
Well, I don't have like written on a tablet per se like examples of how objective morality has worked, but I can give a good example of how denying objective morality has led to bad.
But that doesn't make objective morality exist. Oh, Logan is muted. I think someone came into Logan's room. Logan, I'm gonna give you just a couple seconds, bud, but if there's just a super long silence... Don't you guys make fun of the size of my cup! It's a normal size cup!
Okay, like I said before, I don't really have the time. I actually gotta go right now, but
All right.
I probably...
It's a normal size cup. You guys are haters of my cup, okay? It contains an apt amount of liquid. Fuck you. Next guest. Julian, hello. Are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome in, Julian. You use he, him pronouns, and you are a Methodist. Is that correct?
Yeah. What pronoun should I use for you?
I use they, them. Thank you for asking, Julian.
Should I just call you Robot Goat?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, awesome.
So, why is God an a-hole?
I've got great news for you. God is not an a-hole. God is love.
Oh,
God
fuck, I gotta
loves
shut it
you.
down. God damn it, Julian, that's... My whole stream, like, hinges on this.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of good news, but in fact, God, he's a loving individual.
A loving individual. Interesting. Okay,
He's
so...
three loving persons.
All of them are loving. So even God the Father is loving.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So when God the Father said that if the daughter of a priest profanes herself, she should be burned in the fire? That's loving?
I'm not entirely convinced God said that.
Okay, so like things in the Bible that it says God says might not be what God says?
I mean, I think the Bible is testimony that people give about God. I don't think it's all inerrant. I think there are some mistakes in there.
Okay, so
I
as
think
long
that
as
there
you ignore all the fucked up shit God says, God's a great guy?
Well, I mean, I think that the clearest portions where we get direct testimony from God, where we get dialogue from God, is in the New Testament. I think all of the, like, if you open your Bible and you see red letters, that's the stuff that's most clearly God talking.
Gotcha, because that's quotes from Jesus. So you don't believe when it says, hey, this is what God told me, that's actually God.
So, I mean, I think the Israelites were certainly the chosen people by God. I think God communicated to them, and then I think they wrote down their testimony of that communication into the Bible. I don't think that they recorded every detail. I don't think that they got every minute aspect of it correct.
And you don't think that God would have, like, corrected them if they were, like, burning women alive, and he's like, whoa, fuck, I didn't mean for you to do that, you know?
There's a lot of ways that God corrects them. God comes to earth as a human, and he says things like, before I taught you that divorce was permissible for the hardness of your hearts.
That's the only time he does that.
Well, no, he gives several examples in the Sermon on the Mount where he says, before I told you simply not to have adultery, but now I tell you not to even look at a woman with lust in your heart.
Well,
So there's several
that's
points where he
adding
corrects
on.
them.
He doesn't rescind other laws.
I mean, I would say what he does is he says that the real purpose of the law is about the orientation of your heart, the internal orientation, and that is the theme of the Sermon on the Mount. He says this with several different things.
I mean that's nice and all, but women died because of this.
Because of what? I'm not following.
The rule of burning women alive if they.
Are you sure?
Yes, there's writings of it, and well, maybe those writings are fake, but there's writings from the Sanhedrin, where they do actually condemn people burning a woman alive for this because they did it wrong. They burned her at the stake, and the Sanhedrin is like, no, 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 no. You're not supposed to burn her at the stake. Here's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to bury her in dung up to her waist. You're supposed to force her mouth open and shove a wick down into her throat and light the wick and burn her up from the inside. That way you don't fuck up the outside of her body as much.
And this is the same Sanhedrin that killed Jesus, right?
Well, what we're debating is whether or not women were killed for this law.
Okay, yeah, no, I concede. It seems like there's evidence women were killed for this law. I would say this does not seem to me like it is a true recording of God's intention.
Okay, so how do you know that?
So I mean, I would say if you want to get to the core of the law, the most important part of the law is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second, which is like it, is to love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, so I would just say those are
that's
contradictions to what it says in the other one.
Not loving your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're just saying, okay, well, if it contradicts what I want to believe about God, then it must be fake. That doesn't really give me evidence to believe a certain way.
I'm saying there are two core principles that you should hold above all else. One of them is to love your neighbor as yourself. I think that if you're holding something up and it's causing you to love your neighbor less, then that is actually, you've misinterpreted God's intentions, or you've misinterpreted God's communication, and you should refocus on loving your neighbor. That is truly the core of it. That's the most important part.
Yeah, so the love your neighbor as yourself, that when Jesus says that, he's quoting Leviticus. So why would Jesus quote Leviticus if it didn't accurately reflect the will of God?
I mean, like I said before, I think God really did communicate to the Israelite people, but whenever they wrote it down, I just don't think that they perfectly got every aspect of that communication. So where Leviticus says, love your neighbor as yourself, I'm pretty confident that that's accurately recording God's will.
Okay, but everything around it, everything that's right around it, though, is not accurately reflecting God's will. Like, do you see my problem, Julian, when you're like, okay, if it's the nice, feel-good, fuzzy, happy stuff, then yes, that is actually the will of God. But if it's the not great stuff, even if it's right next to the stuff that I believe, then it must be wrong. It feels like, since you're coming at it with this presupposition that God can do no wrong, you're saying, well, anytime he does wrong, it's not true.
I would say the stuff around it, I wouldn't go as far to say it's wrong. I would say it's inaccurate. And I would say even in the inaccuracies, there is a lesson to be learned. There is something that God is trying to communicate, and that the people have tried to communicate. The Israelites have tried to communicate to themselves and to us in writing it down. So to take this very graphic example of a woman that's promiscuous burning her at the stake, I mean, I do think God's trying to communicate something about the importance of sexual integrity, the importance of sexual purity, and in particular, he's designated priests to lead his nation, and the family of those priests are held to a higher standard.
So following along the lines of like sexual purity, so then when in Leviticus it also says that like if a man lies with another man, he shall be stoned. Is that God's will or no?
I mean, I think there is something important being communicated, but no, I would not agree to the stoning.
Okay, so it's just interesting here because things can be back to back, and you'll say, okay, yeah, they got this one right, they got this one wrong. It again seems like you're just going with, well, if I like it, then it's right. If I don't like it, then it's wrong.
No. I would offer a unifying principle. I would offer like a single rule that you could use, that you can judge all of it by and determine what's right and what's wrong. The principle would be, does it help you love your neighbor, or does it not help you love your
Yeah,
neighbor?
almost the entirety of the Old Testament is God treating people horribly. So so how does it follow then that because Jesus said love your neighbor, that's actually what God thinks?
Because Jesus is God.
Right. What I would say, Julian, is this is a contradiction because this does not reflect the behaviors of God in the Old Testament. Now, the way
the Old Testament says God loves his
the way you're trying to put this back together is by saying, well, all those times he didn't love people wasn't the truth. It's not accurate. They got it wrong. But all the times he did love people, well, that was right. What I would say is, reading the Old Testament, it's obviously impossible to justify the atrocities that God commits, so they tried to come up with like a nicer, softer version of it. Because Jesus affirms, hey, follow the old law on multiple occasions. He says, if you do not keep these commandments or you tell other people not to keep these commandments, you will be regarded as least in the kingdom of heaven. If Jesus did not believe in the old law or thought that there were errors with it, why would he say that?
Well, so I think very specifically in the Sermon on the Mount, he tells you what the old law was aiming towards. And when he says follow it, he says don't follow it like the Pharisees followed it, where they only followed it outwardly. Instead, you must follow it inwardly, which is an even higher standard in many ways.
Okay, so inwardly keep slaves.
No. The Book of Philemon very, very clearly says that like, any slave you had would be
No, Philemon never says to set slaves free. In fact,
that's not what I said.
He's sent back. So
and treated as a brother.
He's still a slave.
Yes. How would you treat a brother?
I think you're missing the part that he was still enslaved.
I mean, maybe you treat your brothers very terribly. I don't know if you have any siblings, but
yeah. So again, did he tell him to set him free?
He told him to treat him as a brother. He did not tell him to set him free directly.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for being honest. He did not tell him to set him free. In fact, you're asking like, how would I treat my brother? I would not tell my brother to go back to someone who owned him. I would not tell him, hey, go back to someone who enslaved you. I would not tell my brother to do that.
What if the alternative was death? Like this is not an era with good social systems where people can just survive on their own outside of society.
Who said he had to survive on his own outside of society?
I mean, okay. The question I asked was, what if the alternative was death? I think that there are economic scenarios where.
Yeah, but we don't know that in Philemon. It doesn't say in Philemon that the alternative was death. You're putting that in there as an idea. You're saying, well, maybe that was the only option, was to go back and be a slave.
I mean, what we're told.
I would say that God says, look at the flowers of the field. If God cares for them, then surely he will care for you. So don't worry if the other option seems like it would be death, because God will provide for you if you're faithful. That's what I would say.
Well, I mean, the option he says is go back to your master and he should treat you as a brother. And I think it's super clear the way you would treat a family member is not permanent enslavement. I think that's even made clear in the Old Testament.
So if Paul was already like housing and caring for Philemon, why send him back to his former owner?
Oh, but I should know more about the travels of Paul. My guess is he needed to go somewhere else, or he couldn't stay and take care of Philemon for an indefinite period of time.
And Philemon couldn't go with him?
I don't know. That's outside the text.
Yeah, it's just you're coming up with this, like, you're not necessarily saying that this was the case, but you're kind of planting the idea that, like, this was the only option for Philemon's, like, safety and well-being. It's just, like, none of this ever would have happened if God had just outright said, hey, don't keep slaves.
Well, slavery was an institution in the Roman Empire, which God was not giving laws to. So I think even if God said, don't have slaves, the Roman Empire still would have had slaves.
Gotcha. So, Philemon was enslaved by the Romans?
I don't know if his master was Gentile or Jewish. But I mean, I do know the Romans literally had laws that made it illegal for someone to release their slaves. So if Paul were to say, "Free your new brother," he would be, causing some sort of revolt against the Romans at this time period.
That doesn't really answer my question, but what I'm
I'm sorry.
saying is, God was cool with slavery. Never did God, in any form, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the Father, condemn slavery. Even in Philemon, the closest you can get is he was told to go back to his master and for the master to treat him really nice. Did not say don't have slaves, did not explicitly say set him free, make him a slave no more. Just go back to your master and he should treat you really nicely.
Well, not just really nicely, as you would a brother. I think the Old Testament makes clear. I mean, are you familiar with the Old Testament regulations on Israelites taking other Israelites as? I'm not even sure if the word is slave.
Indentured servants, yeah.
Yeah.
But they could trick him into, lifelong slavery. And for the women didn't get to go free, so.
But I mean, as a brother, it implies not as a woman. I mean, I really do think that it's clear that even if you accept him, according to the strictest Old Testament laws, as an Israelite brother, my understanding is there's a maximum period of 7 years.
Oh, great. So just enslave him for a shorter period of time.
I mean, I think there is a trajectory where God's law...
Again, if God had just said, don't have slaves...
Well, and Jesus says, I gave you one law because of the hardness of your heart, essentially because you were not ready yet for the fullness of the law. And then more fullness of the law was revealed so that people were then brought closer to the goodness of God.
Okay. If God had made the law that they could not have slaves, people would not have been enslaved.
Well, no. The Romans certainly would still have slaves. They don't follow God's law.
In Israel.
Agreed. Yeah.
So God should have done that.
No, I mean, I think whatever God did was right. I mean, I'm not sure why he did it, but I mean, I would be a form of divine command theorist, like the guy a couple calls ago.
Yeah, and did you see why that failed?
Well, I mean, I thought he didn't have great argumentation for it, but no, I think divine command theory certainly works. There's lots of philosophers who defend it.
Okay, so let me ask you the question that I asked old Dave. God tells you to kill a baby. Is it good? Will you do it?
It's definitely good. I don't know if I have the heart to do it, but sometimes good things are difficult to do.
Gotcha.
Slaying babies can be good.
I mean, in practice,
if God says
you
so.
could never know that it's God telling you to do that and not a demon, right? In practice, I would say no. This really does not seem like God. It does not seem like it's a way to love my neighbor to kill the baby. But if I'm taking your hypothetical and I actually know for a fact it was God, the source of all goodness in the world, causing me to do this, then of course it'd be good.
So you said you don't know if you'd be able to do it?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I'm a sinner, and there's some things that are good that I know I should do that I just don't do.
Yeah, I'm a sinner, so I know it's good to kill that baby, but I just can't make myself do it. That's interesting, Julian.
I mean, I think the hypothetical he asked you was a good one. Like, if there was an infant and you knew for a fact this infant will go on to genocide billions of people, would it be morally permissible to kill that infant?
I wouldn't do it.
Would it be morally permissible? Not would you do it? Because again, I agree with you. Even if it's right to do, it's really tough to do.
I don't think it would be.
Really? You can't kill baby Schmittler?
I didn't say you can't. I just said I don't think it'd be permissible morally.
Okay, it's you really think a time traveler goes back in time, kills baby Schmittler. He's done something wrong?
You're gonna need to let me explain why I'm saying yes here.
Okay.
Because first of all, I think punishing someone before they do a crime is not just. I think taking an immoral action to prevent perceived other immoral actions is unnecessarily inserting yourself into a moral dilemma.
Well, I just don't think you're taking the
It's
thought experiment seriously.
I,
Because,
I
like, the
am taking the thought
reason.
experiment seriously. It's like
Mhm.
when people are like the trolley problem.
Mhm.
I would not pull the lever,
Mhm.
but that's
And so therefore
because
more people would die.
right, and I still
Mhm.
think that's the right. Like I think that is morally permissible on my part because I would be taking an action that does result in loss of life. I think that doing that is inserting myself into the situation where abstaining completely. Um,
Takes more lives.
I I'm not taking those lives.
I mean, by the result
The
of your
person
inaction,
taking
you
the
knew those people
lives
would die.
the person taking those lives is whoever tied him to the fucking tracks or whoever
Mhm.
put that trolley there to run them over. I am not the person killing those people.
So I guess trying to get more back to the point. The reason why it's not just to kill somebody before they've committed a crime is because you can never know for sure that they're going to commit a crime in the real world, in practical scenarios. But if we're in the world of hypotheticals, if you have a time machine and you're going back in time and you know how history will go out, or if we're in the world of hypotheticals and you know for a fact that X baby will definitely commit a genocide, then that epistemic idea is out the window. Then you really can, by killing one individual, save millions of lives, save billions of lives. And so I
And
mean I think that's
but I
the,
don't look at it that way. I look at it as me killing that individual. That is the action that I am taking. But also, if I were God in this situation,
Mhm.
then there is an infinite number of other actions that I could take to prevent that loss of life. I
Absolutely.
am not God, but there's just give him nicer art teachers and then the Holocaust wouldn't have happened, right? So if I were God, there's an infinite number of things I could do besides taking the life of that child. So taking the life of that child to prevent that tragedy would be extremely, extremely immoral.
No, and honestly, I'd probably agree with you that you shouldn't kill baby Hitler. Though I think it's permissible, but not obligatory. Is where I would land that. But I just think that is an even weaker claim than if you're saying God told me to do it, and not like I think God told me to do it, but we're in the world of hypotheticals. We know for a fact God told me to do this. Then it's God could have an infinity of reasons that like we can't wrap our minds around all the possible butterfly effects of this act. God can. And so like it's more than just that something bad would happen if you didn't do this. God has taken into account all the possible butterfly effects of anything that could happen bad if you do this as well.
And so he created the universe in a very specific way, knowing that all of those things would have happened.
Yes, yeah, agreed.
So he is the reason for all of those immoral acts.
I mean, I would defend a doctrine of free will. I mean, I think he is the ultimate reason for the universe, but I do think.
Only if you hold that God is not all knowing.
Well, I mean, so, God can know what you're gonna do, and you also have the free will to do it.
But God also knows if he creates the universe a specific way, what how that would change your experiences and your actions. Like,
sure, but it's still your choice.
I'm not saying it's not a choice, but what I'm saying is God is responsible because if he had created the universe in a different way to where we would have made different choices, we might still be freely choosing based on the options given. It's just changing the options we have. Because we are already somewhat limited when we're talking about like free will, right? Because I can't choose to grow wings and fly.
Mm-hmm,
We are limited by our reality.
Mm-hmm.
If our reality were changed in a certain way, I don't think that necessarily takes away from us having free will, but it would influence our actions and our moral decisions.
Yeah, no, that'll make sense to me here. I'm not sure if we disagree on the point
So
of free will.
if God made the world knowing that the precise way that he'd made everything would lead to Mustache Man causing a genocide, he could have prevented that an infinite number of ways by making any number of changes to the universe at the time of its creation, and he didn't. So I would say that he, being all-powerful and all-knowing, would be responsible for that, whereas if I am sent back in time with a pew-pew and told to put some lead between baby Schmittler's eyes, and I don't do it, I'm not causing the Holocaust. Mustache Man is the one causing the Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, I think for any given event, you can put multiple points of responsibility for people. So it's like there is some grand ultimate sense in which God is the author of reality and he's responsible for every event. But there's also a sense in which Schmittler was responsible for the Holocaust. There's also a sense in which Schmittler's parents were responsible for the Holocaust and his grandparents were responsible for the Holocaust.
But God could have prevented all of that by simply
I agree.
changing the way he made the universe. None of those other, none of that other blame could be placed on anyone if not for God.
Well, I mean, we can place blame on Hitler. He could have prevented it by not genociding people.
Well, yeah, but he would have never been in a he could have not been in a position to cause a genocide. God could have changed the world in a way that was not even a possibility. And he still could have had free will, just the universe would look different. He would have different opportunities.
Well, no, I think he did have free will. He simply chose the wrong thing.
But God knew the choices that he was going to make, and he created the universe knowing that that would happen.
Yes, whenever God created the universe, he knew that Hitler would freely choose to cause a genocide.
Like, obviously it's not this, simple, but it's like, God knows if I place this leaf here, the Holocaust happens. And if I place this leaf 2 inches to the left, the Holocaust doesn't happen. And he's like, I really like it on the right, though.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree.
So he is the one who ultimately bears the responsibility.
Ultimately, I mean, I do get back to Hitler had free will. Hitler did a wrong thing. It was Hitler's responsibility. I do think God could have stopped the Holocaust and chose not to. And I mean, I think that this connects more broadly to a point of why does God allow evil in the world at all? And I would give a general answer of evil is there for us to overcome it. Evil is there for us to fight it and for us to work to make the world a better place through our love and through our transforming of the world.
Yeah, I would just say it's all suffering is unnecessary if God is all good and all powerful. There's no way around that.
Yes, I would say all suffering is unnecessary, but I think there's some kinds of glory that require the potential for suffering. So, for example, God could have chosen to not make anything at all. God could have chosen to have 0 humans live ever, and then there would be no suffering. I mean, 0 humans, 0 animals, 0 of any sentient being, and there'd be 0 suffering. I just think that's a worse world, the world of nothing, than the world that he did create.
But he also could have... Is it also possible that he could have created a world in which there is free will, but there is no suffering?
Yes, yeah, and he's moving us towards that world. He's actually in the process of creating that world right now.
But there's no reason he couldn't have made the world like that the first time.
Well, this isn't like... This world wasn't like a mistake and he's re-rolling. This is the first world. This first world will be the world of no suffering.
What I'm saying is, but he should have initially made the world with free will, but without suffering.
Well, I mean, the world will get to a point of no suffering, and then it will be like that for eternity.
I hear you say that it will be like that, but why have any period of time where it's not like that? What is the point of that if you can still have free will?
So, I mean, the way that you get to the point of glory is by people freely choosing to do the good.
But you're saying he could have done it immediately.
No, I don't think he can have people freely choose him and also just immediately force them to choose him. I think that's a contradiction.
I'm not saying forced. I said free will and no suffering.
Free will and no suffering. Okay, I think the only way you get to no suffering is by union with God. I think the only way you get to union with God is by freely choosing him. And so I think that in order to have people freely choose him,
could God make it so that you could union with him without freely choosing?
He couldn't make sinful, broken people and then also have them be in union with him. So, like, for example,
I'm not saying sinful and broken. Like, what I'm asking here, Julian, if you think that there is free will in heaven, but there's not suffering, he could have made Earth like that because people are still getting the choice to choose him in heaven on an eternal basis. And not experiencing suffering. So he could, if that is what you believe heaven to be, then you could have done that when you first made Earth.
So, I mean, I think that what I would describe that version would be is a heaven full of nothing but angels. Angels that are constantly forced to choose the good. Right? I think that humans are, in fact, more glorious than angels because we have more freedom than they do. We have the freedom to be broken. We have the freedom to sin. And it's only in
Okay, so we should not want to go to heaven then.
So
because we don't have the freedom to sin in heaven.
Heaven is a more glorified state. So angels
But you just said we're more glorious than angels. So how is heaven more glorious than earth?
Yes, so we are more glorious than angels, and so getting us into heaven is even more glorious than getting the angels into heaven.
Okay, so why would we want to stay on earth if it's more glorious than heaven?
Well, okay, so the point is not to escape Earth. The point is to bring heaven to Earth. We are creating Earth. We are transforming Earth into.
So why have us die and leave Earth at all?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that question. Why have us die and leave Earth at all? I mean, I think Christians don't die. Christians are have uninterrupted life. Maybe you can rephrase the question. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Christians do die. You can say that they have like a spiritual life after death is what you believe, but Christians definitely die. So why have people die and not be on Earth anymore if the ultimate goal is to bring everyone to Earth to be glorious?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's the way he ended up doing it. I mean, there's lots of ways he could have done it. The mind of God and understanding all of the possible universes he could have created is beyond me. You know, this is like a mechanics question that I'm.
Gotcha.
Don't have an answer for you.
Well, the summary of what I've got here is just, if there is free will in heaven, but there is no suffering, and heaven's the place that we're supposed to want to be like or end up in, then God should have made Earth that way. Because I don't think I would want like an eternal paradise with suffering. That seems kind of strange. Like, how is there a paradise with suffering? So there must not be suffering.
There's definitely no suffering in heaven.
So if there is free will in heaven, that means it's possible to have free will without suffering. If there's not free will in heaven and there's suffering, but heaven is supposed to be the good place, then it's best for us not to have free will and not suffer.
Yes, so it is possible to have free will without suffering, but if you want to get people like me into a place like that you can't take a shortcut, right? So to get the shortcut way is, instead of creating a person like me, a sinful, broken person, he could have just created angels, and then angels would fit all those criteria. But if a sinful, broken person like me wants to get into heaven, I have to voluntarily choose God, and I can't, like, he can't short circuit that for me.
Yeah,
I can't. I
Julian,
can't
you're,
voluntarily choose him and also just be poofed into heaven the instant I'm created.
I mean, if he's all powerful, then that could be the case. But yeah,
Well,
Julian,
he's
I
all
think this has
powerful,
run
but
its
he can't
course
make
because
a
you're kind of just repeating the same thing now. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and let you go and move on to next guest request. All right. And Goob, I denied your request because you got super upset that I made a joke about preventing the Holocaust by getting Hitler nicer art teachers. Because you were you were upset because you thought that I genuinely believe that him not getting into art school was the reason why he did a genocide. That is, it was a joke, so I declined your request. Tulip, I see you, but I do have another op request, so I am going to go with the request that I have over here. Chris or CeeLo. You there?
Yeah.
Which do you prefer to go by, Chris or CeeLo?
CeeLo.
CeeLo.
The
All
moderators
right.
silenced me because they couldn't compete.
Well,
They was getting offended because I was defending my position, and for some reason they couldn't defend theirs.
Okay. Well, CeeLo, I don't fucking care. So, you're a Christian, yeah?
Yep.
Great. Why is God an a-hole? Whoa. You gotta fix your audio there.
Where's the echo coming from?
That's from you.
I got the computer silenced.
Well,
Like, I hear myself coming from your screen, too.
Oh, I have headphones on, so it's... It ain't me.
Alright, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, so... you're asking me, but that's the question that needs to be posed to you.
Why is God an a-hole?
Yeah.
'Cause he's not real, and the people who wrote in the Bible are just people. So they wrote stuff the way that people sometimes do.
Okay.
So.
That's it? There's no
Well,
actions taken that...
Oh, there's tons of actions. Yeah, I just like... why is he one? Well, it's because he's not real. But some of the actions, yeah, we've talked about it already, and if you've been in YouTube chat, you've probably heard some of them.
Right.
But like condoning slavery and the burning of women and the slaughtering of infants and those sorts of things.
Okay, so why is it wrong to slaughter an infant from your perspective of morality?
I would say it is unjust. Because justice is people getting what they deserve. The babies have not committed any transgressions that are worthy of death.
So if it was just, it would be right to kill an infant.
I don't think that there's anything an infant can do that would be deserving of killing.
Sure, but if it could be just to kill an infant, would it be just to kill an infant? Like, would it be right to kill an infant morally?
If it could be just, would it be just? Well, the problem is whether or not it could be just. Again, justice.
Well, that's why I rephrased it.
Justice means people getting what they deserve. In this case, like a just punishment would be proportional to whatever wrong was done by the babies. Babies are hardly able to even function, so I don't think they could have possibly reasonably committed any action worthy of being put to death.
So that's the issue with man killing a baby, right?
Well, God told man to kill babies.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. The issue with it being unjust is because a man has done it, right?
Anything. I think it'd be wrong. Like, I mean, I couldn't say that it was like an immoral action if, like, I don't know, a baby got struck by lightning, right? But I think in any case, it is bad. It is not good to kill a baby.
Okay, so then we go to, if God is killing a baby, why would it be unjust for God to kill a baby?
'Cause again, if the baby hasn't done anything, deserving of that penalty. It would be unjust.
Does it have to do anything for God to determine?
Uh, if the baby has not committed an act,
What is that worldview though? What is that based on? Is that based on a Christian worldview or
do you
based on your
think that you
worldview?
should just like unalive people because you think they might do something bad in the future?
No, I don't think I should do anything. I'm asking about what God does.
Okay, so if God told you to kill a baby, would he do it?
If I knew for a fact it was God,
Yeah.
so if this is God commanding me, and we all know for a fact that God commanded it.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
That's fucked up, CeeLo.
Right. But I'm asking you, what about God killing a baby is immoral?
If God told you to eat a baby, would you eat a baby?
Sure, but you have to show me where that's in God's nature to do that.
Okay, sure.
But you still haven't answered the question though.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the verses.
It's in God's character to command someone to eat a baby?
Yep.
Okay, let's just.
So Deuteronomy 28:53. In the desperate straits to which the enemy siege reduces you, you will eat the fruit of your womb, the flesh of your own sons and daughters, whom the Lord your God has given you.
Okay. Now let's look at what the rest of that says. You said Deuteronomy what?
It's Deuteronomy chapter 28, and what I just read was verse 53.
Deuteronomy. You said what?
28,
Chapter
and I read starting in verse 53.
28. Shoot. 28. Dang, bro, I can't spell it. Deuteronomy 28. And you say you read verse 58?
I read verse 53.
53. It shall come to pass that the shall observe and do all the commandments and I'll be blessed.
While you're doing that, I'm going to read through some of the super chats that we have gotten. Thank you guys so much. I know you guys have seen me reading some of them. But we had a super chat from Fuzztooth that requested that I put my pronouns on screen, so I went ahead and did that. I hope that helps. I do appreciate the mods letting people know. I forgot that on TikTok my pronouns are like in my username, so people have more of a reason to see it, whereas on YouTube you have to actually like click onto my channel to see where my pronouns are listed. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for everybody. And then Fuzztooth followed up with another super chat to thank me for doing that, so I appreciate that. Thank you. NBTNC said, shout out to the mods, they kept the chat clean as fuck. Yes, I appreciate y'all so much keeping the chat clean. Fuzztooth, referencing another one of Joel's bangers, we're talking about the good kind of slavery. That's a great one. Great one. Boogie the Cat says Soylent Green, now with 75% more baby paste. Love my, you know I love my Soylent Green. And then Ron sent a super chat to say congrats on monetization and thanks for fighting. Thank you, Ron. And NVTNC says, I'm gonna throw up because of this guy in CeeLo. That's about you.
So I'm not seeing where this is God speaking.
You're not seeing where this is God speaking?
No, there's no context saying that this is God speaking.
Yeah, do you see all the quotes?
Yeah, I see lines.
All the quotation marks?
This isn't God speaking.
There's quotation marks.
In what version? What version are you reading?
I'm in NRSVUE.
Oh, okay. NRSV?
NRSVUE.
What version is that?
It's the New Revised Standard Updated Edition.
Okay.
Updated edition.
Right, but who's speaking?
Don't you know? This is supposedly the Word of God.
No, this isn't God. So this is also like a prediction. This is a warning. This isn't a command.
Yeah, so this is Moses speaking, giving the word of God.
Right, it's a command.
It
I mean,
says
it's not a command, it's a warning.
it says you will do this.
Right, it's saying you will do this, you will be brought to doing this.
Yeah,
It's,
and
it's not a
God
command.
God is causing this. God is
No,
causing.
it's not a causation, it's a command. I mean, it's a prediction. It's a curse.
Yeah, it says like you this will happen to you. That is causative. Like the Lord is going to make this happen to you.
This says right here, in warnings against
hold on.
disobedience.
Read verse 49.
It says warnings against disobedience. This is the type. This is the
Read
the
verse
header above this
49.
section.
Out
The Lord
loud.
will bring a nation far away and from the end of the earth to swoop on you like an eagle. A nation whose language you do not understand. A grim-faced nation showing no respect to the favor of your old.
That's
favor
good
to the
enough.
young.
The Lord is the one who brings this nation upon them, which reduces them to the dire straits in which they eat their children.
Right, but this isn't a command to eat your children.
It's God causing them to do so, is my argument.
No, you said command. I said command. The initial argument was you said God commands you to eat a baby. Would
Okay,
you do
so sure, if God caused you to eat a baby, would that be good?
With the preface that this is a warning against disobedience, meaning that so when you look at it, it says warnings against disobedience. This is the header for that paragraph, that section of paragraphs you're referring to. Warnings against
If
disobedience.
God caused you to eat a baby, would that be good?
That would be just. If he put you in a scenario where you feel the need to eat a child, then that would be just because he warned you against it.
Would it be just for the baby?
Yes, it would be just for the whole nation because it's a curse. This is a curse against the nation of Israel for disobedience.
Really gross.
This is you're taking it out of the context in order to push a whole new context of it.
Don't you know that you're gonna get hung up on? That's gross. I'm sorry for silencing you, CeeLo, but once someone says that it's just to eat a baby, to eat a baby, to eat a baby, no. Behold, a Christian. And big thanks to the people who have been spamming request on TikTok after I've declined. I was trying to save you some time because I'm not going to be taking any more guests tonight, but I'm glad that you just decided you wanted to continue to waste your time. But I have been going for more than 3 hours, and I only told my call screener that it would be 2, so I'm not going to take up any more of their time. Thank you again to Gracie F. Baby for being my call screener tonight. Before you guys head out, I've got an exciting thing to talk about. So I am going to be posting this information later to my story and to my Discord, but I am putting out a call for more call screeners. And any time that you are a screener for a live stream, you'll get 1 entry into a drawing that I will do monthly, and whoever wins that drawing, I will make them a crochet piece that they will get to choose from over a dozen options that I have. So if you have any interest in being a call screener for me, I will have a link that you can follow. And basically you would just be making sure that the people who are coming into stream are not insane or terrible. Some of you guys were here for the last stream, and it got a little bit rough with some of the bullshit that people were pulling. So I'm trying to make this a more safe and comfortable experience for everybody. So check out my Linktree for some more information on that. I appreciate you guys so much. This has been great. Thank you for being with me while I tested out my new setup. While I worked on using a call screener for the first time. This went a lot better than I expected. Let's see who I'm gonna send you over to tonight. Who are we gonna go bother? Ooh, not a lot of people on right now. That might be why you're all here. Was it just out of boredom? Was it because Joel and Mezzo weren't on? It was because Joel and Mezzo weren't on. Damn. Let's see. Anyone know any other creators that are live that I just might not see on my list? Because it doesn't let me, like, scroll through people who are live. And I love sending a raid out. Cat Mama, I see you. I know. I'll take it, though. I'll take it when they're not here. 2 Mormon missionaries who are on. Elder Price and Elder Cunningham. Oh, Shadow Slays is on? Alright, that's where we're gonna go. I will see you guys later. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening. TikTok, you're the first to go. I'm sorry. Bye. YouTube is just us now. Thank you, guys. It was great. I enjoyed having you. Thank you again to the mods. I saw you guys fucking working overtime, and I will be reaching out with you to coordinate some more stuff, because I know I haven't given you the list of rules. I was trying to coordinate this and the new call screening thing and all the other fun bits and bobs and bells and whistles. Thank you for over 1,000 subs on here. That is fucking awesome. Very exciting. I appreciate that so much. You guys' support means I cannot put it to words, because I will just stammer and stutter and be a doofus. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will see you tomorrow at noon for some Ram's ass. Ow, ow.